Good morning. It's Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, and we are going to begin today's session with a legislative update with Zach Kennedy.
Well, good morning. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
We're still kicking over here. It's a little bit crazy, but we're getting it done. So it's I shot out my report yesterday. This is a really interesting week to give too much information. And I hate to say it from the county perspective here, if we're, not pushing things, kind of a wait and see what's going to happen because after this Friday, the policy questions will become much, much more clear. And even with that, because we've got cutoff coming, but even with that, everything is coming down to the budget this year. Um, and I just, we don't have a lot of visibility into the budget writing process, I mean, behind the closed doors, but it's really hard to think that they're not considering what's going on at the federal level right now. And I really don't think that we're going to see the cuts from the federal side stop. And so I think the budget writers are having a heck of a time trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I can tell you absolutely, we are seeing bills with a fiscal note of even, $100,000 get kicked out of committee and having the appropriations, ways and means, even transportation say, look, that's a great bill. We like it. It's not absolutely critical to running our state. Don't even pass it out of the policy committee. And we're hearing that from the policy committee chairs and vice chairs. Now, the question that you might be asking is, well, who's determining what's critical for operating our state? And I do think that is probably the biggest question we need to be asking. I don't know that answer, and that's kind of behind closed doors stuff, but we don't have a huge discretionary portion of our state budget, from the capital or operational side. So what I'm getting at is we're probably not going to have a really good idea what's actually going to happen until we get some revenue forecasts and some budgets coming out here. That'll probably be the beginning of next month. And right now, the policy side of things, they can always deem something necessary to implement the budget. However, we'll see what happens. I do know that one of the ones that you guys were asking about, specifically Susie, was Senate Bill 5362, and that's the Victims of Crimes Act funding stuff. That one is moving. The House bill is not. That one is currently sitting in Senate Ways and Means. It was referred on the 7th. They'll probably take that one up here next week. Once we get through the policy cutoff, it's all fiscal committees next week. So they'll be just burning through that stuff. I know they've told us, gosh, what is it? Even Senate Labor and Commerce this week has almost 50 bills they need to get through on executive. So they're being really picky and trying to push everything down to the end. So outside of that, looking at the report I sent out, the one of the ones 1707, that's the kind of adjustment to the noxious weed stuff. It's on exec today. I don't really know if this is a big deal or not, but they're talking about they're talking specifically about the holly growers. And holly's a noxious weed, but people are going, well, we grow this commercially because people want it. And so, I know that things like I mentioned in the report, things like morning glory are a really popular garnish, I guess you could say, for flowers and stuff. And obviously, our farmers really don't particularly like that particular plant. So I don't know that there's a problem with identifying the process or saying, hey, you have to consider these things. I think it's just important to make sure that, the agricultural community, large scale agriculture has a seat at the table, making sure we know what's going on. Then the other one, we've got the ruck charge 5726. I think that's just kind of a foregone conclusion at some point. I think they're going to pass this bill. But that's just kind of one of those they're seeing a lot less revenue from transportation. So it would be really nice if that money would actually stay in transportation as opposed to taking its wandering path through the different budgets. But that would be a constitutional change, and we've tried that several times and it hasn't worked. So right now, it's cutoff week. Things are kind of crazy. The legislators are pretty cranky, and it should be an interesting end to this week. Do you guys have anything specific for me? Questions, comments, anything you want me to comment on, or just get some popcorn and enjoy the show here?
I don't know of anything right now.
Okay.
What's going on with where they want to charge per mile, not gas tax, but the per mile? How's that?
That's the road usage charge. And that one is Senate Bill 5726. And what they're looking at, and here's the big question. They really want to transition away from charging us a gas tax for numerous reasons, not the least of which that cars are getting better mileage than when we started this. And they've leveraged a lot of gas tax towards our state resources, which, I mean, in hindsight, maybe wasn't the best idea. The big question we have, especially in the rural areas, and they are aware of it, the legislators are aware of it, DOT is aware of it, is especially in the rural areas, we don't want to pay gas tax and pay the ruck charge for the road usage mileage charges. That's they're trying to figure out how to phase one out and phase one in. The proposals even range to, well, you just give us a receipt for your gas tax and we'll reimburse your gas tax and you just pay the road usage charge. I mean, I can see just a nightmare with that. And I think they can too. So what they're trying to do, and I think this one is an 8-year phase in, where they start out, it's optional. You can elect to do it, say if you have an electric vehicle or, whatever it is. And I think they're trying to figure out how to do it. So it'll be a while before they figure out how to do it right, because we got to try every wrong way first.
Okay, thanks for.
Of course. Oh, and this particular bill is only vehicles under 10,000 pounds gross weight. So basically, commercial vehicles are excluded. So, um, of course, if you guys have any questions, you can call, email anytime. Kind of a pretty lean report today because we are just waiting to see what happens with cutoff. Next week is going to be really interesting because of the fiscal cutoffs. That should be some fireworks because they're going to try and pull some of these bills through. My guess is what they're going to do is if they really want something, they're probably going to pass it out of its house of origin and then rely on the opposite house to really go through it and, amend or, just not pass it or pass it again. And then work on the concurrence calendar. So if that's the case, that could be a really interesting into session with all the concurrences.
Zach, do you think you're going to see a lot of bills drop off because of the budget?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, definitely. Right now, if a bill hasn't passed out of its policy committee and, and nobody's really talking about it, it's probably dead. We're going to see a big, big drop off here on Friday. And then anything else, they're going to weed out all the rest of I don't want to say junk, but they're going to weed out everything else next Friday. And it'll be really focused here come next week from the policy standpoint. And there's a lot of good policies that they're just, I mean, flat out, I've got numerous emails in my inbox saying, hey, this is a great idea. We don't have the bandwidth for it right now. It'll be really good for next year. I mean, just flat out saying, look, we can't do it this year. So that's not uncommon, but I can tell you I haven't seen as many as I'm seeing this year. I mean, that's kind of the standard line. Yeah, this is a great conversation for next year.
That's kind of what I was thinking was gonna happen.
Yeah. And the concern is if the Fed keeps cuts going on, and they keep cutting budgets and, who knows what's going to happen there. But if that happens, next year's budget could be even worse. Right? So, I mean, this is going to be a little interesting. I mean, it's probably the wrong word to use, but we haven't been in this position certainly since I've been in Olympia.
Yeah, a little bit of a shakeup going on.
Yes, sir. So, but I'm sure that we'll get some good insight on Wednesday night at the roundtable. Paul did say that that's going to be broadcast on Zoom, so you guys will be able to actually listen to it. They're going to have, gosh, I don't remember who the guests are, but they have a couple of legislators coming in to talk, and usually when they come in, they're pretty straightforward with what's really going on. So if you can, that might be a good one to listen to, hear it right from the horse's mouth, see what they're really doing. And they do a good job of getting both sides of the aisle and usually somebody from each house. So that'll be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. So, and just in case when I see that link from Paul, I'll make sure I shoot it out to you guys. And if I don't have it, I'll call him and get it.
It looks like our legislators have a town hall Wednesday night as well from 6 to 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's gonna be right at the same time that they're doing the LSC roundtable. So, but I'm sure it's recordable, so be able to watch it after the fact as well. So,
Okay.
but I'll get the information from Paul for you.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Outstanding. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions for me, I'll let you go a couple minutes early and you can get ready for your next one.
Well, thank you, Zach.
Awesome. Hey, thank you guys very much, and safe travels if you're coming over to the steering committee.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
We'll go into recess until 8:30 when we are back with consent agenda review. Good morning, it's 8:31 and we are here for consent agenda review.
So Caitlin or whoever on the west lot did the, not the Law and Justice Committee, but did they submit that for review or it's just an ongoing invoice?
From public defense?
Usually they're supposed to have a meeting for, the law library, sorry, law library is supposed to make that recommendation.
I'm not sure. They just submitted it. I'm pretty sure they said it was a renewal. So it was an item that was anticipated and budgeted.
Yep.
So I would assume that.
consultant agreement for the diversion. It says it's reviewed by legal, but it's not signed. Is it good or no?
We asked Barb, she was the one that did that one. I would assume that she probably got the approval through email and just didn't include it because it was the attorney-client privilege. Her microphone does not work on her headset though, so.
I assume that'll be.
Number 5 or 6. Is it number 6, Rob, you're asking for?
6, 7.
Lodging tax. Number 6, I know it was approved because they had gone back and forth, but that would just be taking the word from Commissioner Overbay that our.
Yeah, I was just saying that the prosecuting attorney on the contracts, usually they're signed.
Cindy, if it's the one that you had emailed about before, yes, that one was approved by Rebecca. It was approved through email, so they just.
Well, we had 2. One was, we actually did a soft approval for Leah, number 5, Leah Becknell. That was approved, I would say September, October, November to move forward on that, and just took a while to get it facilitated. And then the other one, Kevin had called and said that, yeah, just kind of legal going back and forth with Rebecca, because he was on those emails back and forth.
Yes, I remember the regional diversion one.
Okay, so-
Yes. And she
But I
did
haven't
say-
seen it, but according to Kevin Overbay, it was approved, so it should be on our agenda.
Okay, Barb did say both were reviewed. It was just through email, so. Do we need her to sign the hard copy or?
They have the signature space for them.
I assume they'll
Yes,
have to sign.
I mean, previously we've,
Usually they're signed when we get them.
yes, but recently we've been including the emails from legal saying that it was fine and the commissioners were okay with that instead of the signature. We just didn't include the email this time after the PAO's office told us that it would potentially waive the client attorney privilege. Would you like us to go back to just getting signatures on them?
No, as long as you know, then I'm good.
Okay.
And then Cindy, what'd you say about LTAC?
I didn't say anything about
Oh.
that.
You said number 7.
5 and 6. I think Kevin said it's 7. So I was just talking about the diversion. I don't know anything about the LTAC.
The LTAC was, they didn't sign their grant because Brian was on administrative leave during the time of signing, so once they let him go, then they basically signed it in his place. items on consent agenda anyone is concerned with?
No.
Okay. So pending decisions, we have coordinated entry 5-year plan, RFQs out on that. Caitlin's getting some questions from them. Afraid of family dentistry. We kind of got a little update on that last week. Travel policy. I don't think that's been added yet. We do have a meeting with Blair today at 11:15. I know he's been reading the policies, going over them, so might have an update on how that is going. The ARF's request for puppies, small tract of items, and policy. Do we know if Mandy reviewed that?
For the travel policy, is it the 1200? The 1202 is posted online.
1600? 1200 and 1600 were not added as of August.
They are both added right now.
So you can remove that. It's just the small attractive items, that's F-sensitive asset policy, which it has CFO to review on it. ADA access at the museum. Work release building future. Safety committee plan. And then museum property, short plat sell to church. Dave Dormeyer did reach out about that again. Any items on pending decisions?
Nope.
Are we still waiting for the appraisals to come back on that work release building, second appraisal? That's Tom.
Not sure, don't have update, put it on the facilities notes.
And then on the short plat to sell that museum property to the church, is that something that you guys intended to do? Or?
Well, we won't be able to sell it to the church, we can do a short plat, but we have to auction it off, and that's where it's kind of the highest bidder bids it, so do we want to lose that parcel? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea.
No, if we're going to do an auction of properties and Public Works was wanting to support that and stuff, then we could look at that one as a one of. I don't think we should do an individual.
well, how was Daryl's sale? Wasn't it last week? Or is it this week? Doesn't came, it probably hasn't happened because he'd be delighted to come in and tell us how much money he. I have a quick question. On our health insurance, we do the, kind of like the health survey. I can't remember what it's called. We only had 2 people in our office that did that this year.
Oh, turned in the stuff.
2024, was there not a mention of it?
Yeah, it was just sitting on the table in the break room.
Barb did remind everybody.
Okay.
She reminded all of us multiple times. We just, I know Brittany was doing it, and then obviously she is not
Okay,
here
she
anymore,
turned
and
off,
then,
so.
yes, and then I just
I did my stuff and then I returned it in, so. 2 times in a row.
So you got that email about these four properties.
Yep.
I went out and looked at that one. I looked at all the other one. That one, I told them it's got a bunch of rocks on it. I think that they would have cleaned up more. No. But it's 10 acres. It's got good access on both sides. That's the water, cities over there.
So is it in the border of the city? Would we have to get the permit from the city? Okay.
So it'd be easy.
And have we talked to the coroner about any of the, like, I hope he's visiting with the coroner.
Yeah, and from what I understand, he doesn't care where it's at.
Okay,
He just,
he's pretty easy.
he just,
Okay. The sale looks like it is tomorrow, the 18th.
yeah, that's probably out of all of them.
This one would be the best.
More
Okay.
in line with what we have, other than the location. But I don't know that a coroner's office makes any difference where it's located.
Sometimes off the beaten path is a little bit better than.
Well, that was one of the comments that was made, was, did we talk to the college about having a coroner's office right there as you enter the college?
No, thank you for looking at that.
But, yeah, I think that one's,
Right here.
I need to
Okay.
talk to Tom about that. I think that one's probably.
And in that area, there's rocks everywhere. You know when you put signs in the, you know which areas have rocks and which don't.
Yeah.
So would they be wanting a direct trade on that, or would they be paying?
I think this one's more of a, it's be more closer to a direct trade, straight across.
Isn't that piece over there 10 acres?
I think it's a little over 10 acres.
I think they'd be willing to do whatever we wanted them to do.
But I think with the amount of work that they would have to do over here to prep it, I think it'd be, get them to level it, get it gravelled and ready to build on it. And he said that, Richard said they would do that, no problem.
Yeah, I still think the one the county owns currently is much better than that one. But
It is a nicer piece of property.
yeah, it's level. It's already clean. It's right there. I think the value on it is a lot more, but
But it's not zoned like industrial and industrial.
no, I think it's a commercial or essential public facility, which fits the zoning for what the coroner's office is. Any other items you guys want to discuss during this 9 minutes?
Oh, that email about the fire district up at Cooley City, has anybody dealt with anything like that? I guess I'll just have to dig into it.
Somebody did ask about, yes, there's been discussion probably 7 years ago about doing a fire district. So they just, I don't know if they need to change the boundaries, just, I don't know how they go about fixing it, but request of the commissioners maybe to,
Find out what we can do.
Do we know if Nathan is looking into that?
he was CC'd on the email.
Yeah, I see that.
He had responded to the one that he could answer.
I don't think I see his.
No, when he responded, he only CC'd me.
No, it's right here. It's on the first one.
Yes, he just responded this morning also though.
Oh, okay.
He had said, most of those questions are out of my scope that have been received by the board. For mapping, here's a link to the county GIS map. And then he walked through what all the colors mean on the map. But that is all that he had said in response to the email received this morning.
Yeah, he put in there that he'll discuss it with fire chiefs and fire commissioners.
Look at page 114 on the. See a problem with that?
Have a spell check or something.
And then the check is, address. Columbia.
Columbia.
Based in Harold. It's all spelled wrong.
Where who did that?
I don't know. They need to fix it. Columbia's not even spelled right.
Columbia's not, Harold's not.
Harold's not. Right there.
Must have been us and one of our employees. That probably was that one. Not that one. Down there. Somewhere right in there. Right there. I can see that.
So, the homeless task force, how's that going?
Oh, why? It's fine.
I was wondering if you, was that one of the ones you're having?
Oh, just online. Yeah, is that article? I didn't read the article. All I know is normally if it's a phone interview thing, it's always wrong. I didn't read it. You read it.
I read it.
So it was probably like not super accurate,
It
but
was not super great. She also, when she called, she did not say that it was for an article, which is a little bit
oh, did you
frustrating.
talk to her?
Yeah, she called me directly and she had said that she just had a couple questions. And I said, okay. And she did not mention whatsoever that it was for an article. So that was really neat to then read that article later. There's like a couple of things that are just,
Yeah, I didn't read it. Normally I make them email me, but I hadn't even answered a call from them for a long time. So
That's why I don't talk to them.
and then the caption that she had put on that Facebook post was also really misleading. So that was,
no, you just get people that, I mean, and then they had like the comments on it, and I played around with it. I took a couple hits on it, but I don't really care. The more you get hit, the less they can hit you. So, I don't know.
got a few more.
I had a little fun. I fed the birds for a little while. I mean, it's tough because you know, it's on Zoom. It's a public meeting. You know, if you really were interested, you can get involved. But like I was telling Kevin earlier, when I'm done here, I'm just going to heckle my replacements. I'm gonna heckle them every week. But yeah, it's going good actually.
The,
Other than it's monthly now, that's kind of lame. But
it is very hard to get everybody available for,
yeah,
like, a quorum available for a meeting. But it does seem like the 27th for the task force meeting is gonna be good,
which I'm
right?
playing.
The coordinated entry software thing, Tony and I are looking at different dates for it, because if you are traveling, Tom is also traveling, and he is a pretty important person to have there also.
Yeah.
So We're gonna see if maybe we can make it happen on the 26th before you guys go, but if not, then it's probably just gonna have to wait until the middle of March.
Yeah, it would be nice to do that soon.
And tourism is meeting next week to review the social media manager proposals, comparables that they have.
Are those gals coming in Wednesday for?
I'm not sure. I have not reached out to them about it. I can if you'd like me to.
Yeah, because I'm meeting with her on Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Who's coming here? Okay, I can email them. Yeah, so after, so not next week, but the week after, there should be a recommendation on tourism for a social media manager. And I'll be sure to provide both of the people that they review.
Cool. Anything else?
I think that's it for now.
Anything for you, Cindy?
Nope.
All right, we'll go into a quick recess until 9 a.m. Good morning, it is 9 a.m. and we are here for a Public Works update. Hello, Mr. Booth.
Good morning.
How
How's
are you?
everybody?
What was that?
I said, how's everybody?
Great.
Living our best life.
Good weekends?
Fabulous.
Not
Holiday
fabulous.
weekend, Valentine's Day and President's Day, so, you know,
Had grandkids all weekend, so good, exhausting. But
You're at
we'll
work
be
for a
coming to work
break.
to get rested up.
6 and 3, they wear me out quickly, but. So, we need to request an executive session for personnel matters, what, maybe 10 minutes? Probably 10 minutes. or so.
Evaluation or disciplinary?
Neither. Well,
Applicant?
yeah, sort of.
Okay.
It has to be under the,
Evaluation.
here, I can you hand it up. Kevin can- so you can kind of pick which one. Oh, I can walk it over
It's
to
going to be evaluation.
you. It's got to follow under one of those categories.
Yeah, I would say it's job applicant evaluation,
How long do you need?
probably 10 minutes.
Okay, we are going to go in executive session beginning at 9:01 a.m., coming out at 9:11 a.m. for job applicant evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G.
Thank you.
It is 9:11 and we are out of executive session.
Go ahead, John, with that.
Okay, so currently we are doing work in Moses Lake for Central Services. We are removing the racetrack at the fairgrounds. We also fixed a parking lot over there as well. And just giving you guys an update through February 13th. We've spent approximately $40,000 on removal of the track so far. My understanding with Tom is that he has a $200,000 budget for that removal. So I don't know that we will even get there, because as soon as it's warm enough to go, we'll be crack filling and not removing racetracks. So, but while we can, we are busy doing that. And that's kind of where we're at through last week.
So you guys are up there right now?
Yeah. The rest of the group, the roads, signs, they're doing some grading where they can, when they can, rock raking. Still doing a little bit of tree trimming around the county. Lots of snow and ice, obviously Friday and Sunday. Always comes on the weekends. The bridge crew, they are still doing a scour review, routine stuff. Also, they have one of their guys out helping on Drumheller that we're out there just moving rocks out of that rock pile and digging them up and trying to get them ready to go. So I would imagine we're going to spend all of that budget this year at some point on just moving rocks. We are going to purchase some chemicals for spraying it in the fall, but most of it will just be that. That's really all they're doing. They are doing a little bit of weed burning and cleanup and removal in the areas as well. Trying to get it done while we can before we get too much moisture and they're too wet to burn. And sign shop, out, taking care of called in signs, building signs, getting rid of recyclable ones. That's about all for accomplishments.
Sounds like quite a bit. I'm having a hard time keeping up with all that.
Yeah.
I'm writing everything.
Almost talking about taking a bunch of those rocks from out of Drumheller up to the piece of property we have up on the corner of Stratford and Maple.
Yeah, around the Maple Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started hauling them last year to the Napel Pit because it's the same scenario. Per DNR, we'll never close that pit unless we quit having public access to it. So we hauled a lot of them there so we can place them as a rock wall, essentially keep the four-wheelers out. And some of these other ones we can take there to Maple as well. Same thing. We were there with DNR looking at the pit, and there's a kid on the motorcycle waiting for us to leave where he could ride through the pit. And he didn't wait. He said, well, they're not going to leave him and go to the other end, and I'll ride down there. So
They've been here too long, you
Yeah.
couldn't hold it.
and they're big enough, people can't move them. Versus purchasing fence materials, we have the rocks, we might as well place them as much as we can. There will be still, at least at Napel for sure, some fencing on the south end that we'll have to install and gates. So there will still be some costs that way, but might as well use these rocks while we can.
Well, and our excavator has a thumb, so it should work pretty good for just picking them and placing them right along the perimeter.
And currently, some of them are too big to even for our excavator to pick up. We're gonna have to get a jackhammer attachment at some point and break some of them down because we wouldn't want them in our trucks and we can't even lift them. We can barely just move them off to the side at this point, some of them, so. That's where we're at on it.
Great.
The request for reimbursable work from the city of Mattawa, they would like to buy some gravel from us and they're gonna haul it themselves. Out-of-state travel was for Joan Seavercroft for her hazardous waste. So that's all we had. Any questions?
Oh, those are the questions I have.
Okay, that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Jonathan. I wish it would have been recorded all the nice stuff.
We will go in recess until 9:30.
deny I said it.
Good morning, it's 9:31 a.m. and we are here for a sheriff's office update with Sheriff Creed.
Good morning. Today will be fairly brief, for me anyway. I wanted to let the board know that I'm going to start looking at options that are out there for 24-hour medical care into the jail. I know we kind of explored this a little bit last year and earlier the year before. We did find there's a few more options out there for us that may be a little more cost effective. I know previously we looked at a company of NavCare. They've now got to the point of growing so quickly that they're not accepting accounts any smaller than about $10 million.
So do we have nursing 24 hours a day, just not?
No, we
Oh,
do
I
not.
thought we did.
No, we do
Okay.
not. Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
No, so I'm looking for 24-hour medical coverage over there. So
What do
I
we
want to start,
currently have?
I'm sorry?
What do we currently have?
We currently have 6 days a week, 10, 12, roughly 16 hours roughly.
Okay.
And that's just one nurse. We do have our physician that comes in, as well as our medical assistant, or excuse me, our physician's assistant that comes in, I believe on Tuesdays and Thursdays of their med visits. I would have Chief Coates with me today. He's got a lot more answers on this than I
Okay,
do.
no, I was
because
just
his
curious.
division.
That gives me, I really thought we had 24-hour care.
No, we do not
we
have,
at one time?
we've never had 24-hour care over
Okay.
there. No.
Okay.
Our physician's assistant and our physician are both contracted
Mhm.
through Dr. Fife. And then, of course, we also have contracted care through Omni Services, and then we have the 2 full-time nurses that work for the county, though.
Okay.
Thank you, Gina. But anyway, you may have some questions for me that I may not have the exact answer to, because Chief Coates is here and he's been doing a lot of the research on it. But he has found that there is another company out there that is more competitive with smaller sized jails like ours. That are not in the level of NavCare, the extensive costs that they have. And they're looking at, NavCare is working on populations over 1,000 inmate population to 1,500 and larger, which
Okay.
we're not there. But I think we need to start looking at the options now before we move into the new facility to make sure that we're as prepared as we can be when we do make it in that transition over to the new facility. So, that's
So do
what
they provide the nurses? We provide the nurses.
So that's where it gets a little bit, where I've asked Gina to come in with me today, because that's a little bit of the thing we've kind of dealt with the maintenance side of stuff, right? I know it's maintenance versus medical, but when you're starting to talk about unions, that's a little bit of the problems that you have, because you end up having union work being done by contracted people, contracted person. The one nice thing about having a contracted medical service is they take on all the liability compared to the county. So Spokane County dealt with this not too long ago. They're a client of NavCare. They ended up having a suit, I believe it was roughly about $24 million, but the county had to pick up only 200,000 of that. I would assume insurance probably covered the majority of that. So liability wise, it goes with the company that carries the medical coverage, not the county itself being responsible for that. So that's another benefit of having contracted 24-hour medical care, is the best interest of the county as far as liability goes, as well as the coverage of any suits that may come forward. So it's pretty early in the process for us. We're still doing some research to see what is out there, but it was a little more promising seeing this other company coming on board. The benefit we would have if we did qualify and able to go with NavCare, because NavCare already has contracts within the state of Washington, we would have been able to piggyback on those contracts with them. But having them want to take on a jail our size is not in the best interest as of right now with their company. So that part would not work for us, it sounds like. So anyway.
Why not use Omni to staff that 8-hour window that's not covered in an additional day?
Let me see if I can explain that a little bit better, Rob, because it's not 16 hours every day, because we don't have 2 nurses overlapping every day. Their days off overlap a little bit. So you may have some days it's only 10 hours. There's only technically 4 days a week that we do have that 16 hours being covered. The rest of it is 10-hour increments one side or the other because of days off. So we don't have that extensive level of coverage, especially at the nighttime hours. Please, yes.
The other reason it's challenging to use contracted services in a jail is because it's union work. we would have to bargain that with the union, to allow for work to be done outside of the union, which is also why I'm here, is because in discussing it with the sheriff, there's two paths we can go down. Contract solely, take away those two union positions from Teamsters, or add RNs to the Teamster position. Both of them are expensive. They're going to be timely. It's going to take a long time, and they're both going to cost money. There's just, unfortunately, there's not one solution that makes that's like the easiest way. So that's another reason why
You only have one nurse currently, right?
Two.
You do have two now?
We have two nurses,
You have two hired in place?
Correct.
Okay.
two full-time nurses in place.
I only thought you had one.
No, we've got
I knew
Carrie.
you had two positions, but I didn't know you had two.
Carrie and Morgan are our two full-time employees. Morgan's out on leave right now. But Carrie and Morgan are our two full-time employees. Now, I have to say Nurse Morgan, because Dr. Fife's first name is Morgan as well. So it's Nurse Morgan, not Dr. Morgan.
And they overlap each other days?
Yeah, some days they do overlap. There are two of them working sometimes. I think Morgan is working up to Saturdays, and Carrie works Monday through Thursdays. So the only days that we would have overlap to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Why overlap them?
Get longer period of time for coverage. So Carrie will come in early and work until 4. Then Morgan comes in later and works until 8 p.m. to cover. That way all the med passes are covered by medical staff as much as we can. And it gives us later coverage into the hours that we don't have medical coverage on the graveyard shift, so to speak. So it extends our medical services within the jail as much as we can with those.
So if you have two union positions, you would still negotiate going out to contract to fill voids
Yes.
and vacation days and leave days and sick days and you would get a big kickback on that?
We have not with Teamsters. We've had to approach them twice on this topic, and they understand there's a nursing shortage and that it's difficult to staff. So they've been great partners. The reality is it's union work, and there's a potential of an unfair labor practice being filed if we continuously use contracted services for union work. I think it's fine in the interim, but there needs to be a permanent solution at some point, and contracting staff along with union work is not the ideal long-term solution. In addition, Teamsters has a pension. And if we're using contracted services, those contracted nurses technically should get a pension. So there's long-term financial ramifications of using both at the same time as well.
The one thing that we had with the contracted nurses before covering that one open full-time nurse that we had a hard time getting that one vacancy filled for quite some time. If you can remember during COVID, Carrie was the only one working over there for a long, long time. And we had to work with the union to have them allow us to get a contracted nurse because we couldn't get one hired. The competitive pay, because the pay is so high with contracted nurses out there that the traveling nurses field, it's very difficult to get a full-time nurse hired. It was hard. It really was. It took us 2 years, I think 2 years to get Morgan hired. And so we were able to fill that void with contracted nurses by working with Teamsters with their understanding. They knew it was difficult to get those positions hired. And I think we extended it basically 6 months at a time. So we had to revisit them every 6 months to get
Well,
that
I personally,
filled.
contract is good, but I personally feel that when you have an employee, you do have some repeat clients that come over there.
Yeah.
And they, when it's the same person, they understand,
Sure.
like you're going to the same position. And it's hard
Yeah.
when you see a traveling nurse, you're kind of having to explain
Mhm.
everything to them, once again, why you're there. And when they can, I know we do have some repeat.
Sure. There are different things that the contracted companies do. Even the contracted companies sometimes have absorbed the medical staff that's working in those facilities when they do transition to full-time contracted coverage.
Mhm.
So they're still seeing the same medical staff that is in there
Okay.
because they're comfortable working there. They're just, instead of working for Grant County, they're working for companies like Omni Services or NavCare or whatever the other one is, to where they're still employed, working in the same facility. It's just they answer to different people. Yeah.
Contracted. I just,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like
Mhm.
whether it's, the county will be brought in if there's any liability. It just takes a little bit of liability, you know,
Mhm.
so we will
Right.
still be liable,
Right.
even with the insurance from a contractor.
Mhm. It's a, I would tell you to read the Spokane County case that's out there. But all you have to do is Google NavCare in Spokane County. It'll give you some good information on that.
Well, I sit on the board of the other insurance with the smaller counties, and I
Yeah.
know we pay.
Oh, we do. Oh, 100%.
Okay,
But I would sure like to pay 200,000 instead of 24 million.
no, that
So-
would be awesome.
I think that's the information Phil was gonna bring.
Yeah,
forward.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he does have that information. I just don't have it in front of me because he's just out sick today. So, I'll probably have him bring it up again next week on our update. That way at least you have it in kind of a continuation of today. So, yeah.
So with NAFCare, do they bring in their own, they send their own doctors and nurses to your location?
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, they take care of all that. They work with the scheduling with the facility. They take care of all of that.
So what's the difference between NavCare and using Omni?
I'm gonna say probably resources, Rob. I don't know what Omni's resource. NavCare is a very large company, extremely large. Like
Yeah,
I said,
so you would be a smaller priority
We-
than
we
you
would
would
be-
be to a local
we would be, but
business.
they would still, if they sign contract for services here, what the services are, they'll provide them, whatever that is.
Yeah, but I would be interested in that being the cost difference between the two also.
Yeah,
Where's
and-
that company based out of?
NavCare, I know that the rep at one time was out of Las Vegas for the West Coast. I don't know where they're specifically out of. Chuck's got all that information. He's done all the research with NavCare and this other company as well. I think what would have to happen anyway, we would have to probably go out to competitive bid anyway, just because of the cost of what it's gonna be. So we'll hope, I mean, maybe Omni would be one of those people to put in for it. I don't
They're out of
know.
Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have reps all over the country, of course, like all the other large companies do. Yeah. But again, they primarily focus on large counties, Los Angeles County, San Bernardino. They are in Lewis County here. Lewis County is kind of grandfathered in, but before NavCare got really big, they've been with NavCare for quite a while. I believe Spokane, I don't know if they're still with them or not after that case or not. I'm not sure. I'd have to, again, Phil's got all that information. I'll have to double check with him. And then there is, I thought he said there was one other county with NavCare. I thought he said there was three of them, 3 counties in Washington.
Kitsap County does.
Is it Kitsap?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, it's really early in the process for us as far as that goes, but we're gonna start looking and kind of exploring options of what's out there. To at least see what we can do. And we're gonna communicate with the union. Gina's gonna help us with that. To just let them know that that's what we're looking at, so we're transparent with them. As far as I don't know if I'm missing anything else, but yeah. So it's kind of what we're looking at, that I was gonna bring this week with Phil being gone now. You're stuck with me. Trying to give you as much information as I can.
It looks like this company's ran by a bunch of doctors and RNs.
Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of those companies are that are that way. That's what they're ran by. There's CrowdRx is a contracted company that goes to the Gorge. They're all ran by physicians and nurses from all across the country. I got a traveling trauma center that goes out there, so it's impressive. Yeah. Anyway, that was really about all I had today, was get into the medical side of things, just to kind of get you up to speed, understand where we're looking at for the future of the jail. To provide the best care we can within the facility when it gets there, because it's gonna be bigger, with the more inmates we'll have, and there will be a larger impact of our medical staff, and which is gonna mean we're gonna probably have more opiate cases coming in and.
But I think you're right,
Yeah.
we need to work on it now instead of wait.
Yep, so that's what we're doing. We're trying to stay ahead of the curve a little bit if we can, and try to prepare for when the doors open, that we're ready on not just transitioning inmates and staff up there, but what it's gonna look like for other care that we have up there. So we're trying to do our due diligence to look ahead, try to plan the best we can.
Thinking about opening up to other counties, it would be a good idea to have this in place.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a big, I think a big point to have, understanding that we have that medical care that'll be provided 24/7, so. Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yep. So that was really all I had today.
Well, yeah, no, it's some good reading there, so thank you.
Yes. Did I forget anything? Okay, thank you for coming and offering that union perspective, so.
Do you have any jail updates since your case is done? Here in
Investigation?
Oh, it is not totally completed yet. I haven't seen the report yet. I had an update last week from CBIT. They said that we're not gonna have any more bi-weekly updates anymore, because the last thing that they have is they're compiling their reports to have them forwarded to the AG's office for review. So there's really not any other substantial updates other than they've got, I want to say they did conclude all of their interviews, which they had, I believe, 8 other ones to do since I had talked to them 2 weeks before, as well as some people that were in custody with Mr. Lambert when he was incarcerated. So they were able to touch bases with everyone. All of their interviews were done, and they'll get their reports submitted most likely. I'm assuming this week, but they'll let me know when they get that submitted. So, and then again, that goes to the AG's office, not the prosecutor.
Did he go to the doctor after he had his bicycle accident, or?
I don't know. That's all part of the investigation that I'm not aware of. When it's done, I'll get a copy of it when it's done. But that's the thing that I wanted to be left out of it, and they just give me updates of how things are going. So that was one of the updates they didn't give me that information. I would imagine that's going to be in the report if it's in there. So yeah, that I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
I don't think so. For some reason, I thought there was an email I sent you all last week. Oh, yes, there was. Did you see the email I sent you reference the Chelan County Sheriff's Office air support unit?
Yes.
I think that's gonna be
It's on
on,
consent.
it's on consent, okay. I didn't draft it on your letterhead, but I did just present a draft for you to review.
I think we drafted a letter.
Okay,
And Caitlin are hard.
Caitlin.
They
Okay.
are amazing getting those things.
oh, yes, that's why I made sure they were attached, so.
It's already done.
Yeah, okay, perfect. No, that was the other thing I think that I was gonna bring up to make sure that was done. The Chelan County Sheriff asked me again, and I told him it was going on consent, so, yeah, that was it.
Okay, then we'll get it done.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Quiet week, the rest of your week.
Yes, hope so with the shortened days of it, yes.
We'll go in recess until 10 a.m.
Fun.
It's quite a bit of work.
Fun.
Good morning, it is 10 a.m. and we are here for our facilities maintenance update.
Good morning, commissioners. Tom Gaines, Central Services, and Kevin with maintenance. We'll start with a Medisys update. You want to give them the latest?
Well, we ordered it, so we're waiting for it to ship. We found one online for $1,800 and it was supposed to be in good working condition. It's on the way, so as soon as we get it here, we're gonna see if we can load the software, the program into it, and then hopefully that works. If not, then we have Johnson Controls on the side waiting to come down and help us if we need help with it.
We're hoping that thing shows up today.
Yes, it should today or tomorrow, so this week for sure.
Okay. Manpower update. So you want to talk about the maintenance 3 that's Public Works, but reporting here?
Yeah, so we have hired a maintenance 3 for Public Works. We're gonna start them out working down here so that we can keep Brian focused on fuel systems. So onboarding employee takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. So we're gonna bring them down here, start them here. Again, allow Brian to focus on the fuel systems, get those heads tore apart, cleaned up, lubricated, start training the other people who can help him do some of the more fundamental tasks on those. So you'll see Eli coming around. He's a younger guy, but he seems to have a good motor, good brain. Time will tell, but he seems motivated and I'm excited to have him.
Kevin is also helping renew with an RFQ. Apparently their budget is $1.3 million for flooring, painting, and remodeling the front lobby. I'm assuming that this has been run by the commissioners and you guys are good with it before we publish an RFQ and hire an architect.
How much stuff is getting done?
Flooring, painting, and remodeling their front lobby. I just want to make sure that they are communicating with you. I mean, we're helping them with an RFQ, but this is Dell's.
Should have been in his budget.
I'm sorry?
Should have been in his budget.
Should have been. I don't have vision into his budget, so I just want to make sure that,
I mean, it talked about redoing.
that he is
but maybe
communicating
it's
with the
in an
board
update
about
right
this.
now. Okay.
So painting and flooring, we've separated from the RFQ for the most part, but they had about 800,000 in there for that. So that's all floors of the building. And then about 500,000 set aside for the front lobby remodel.
And I have verified, even one last time, speaking with Integris Architecture, who built that building, that it was not designed to go up from where it is.
And do 3 stories.
Yeah.
So they're painting the whole interior.
Correct. The flooring is 20 years old, so it's getting there, right? I mean, it's starting to look pretty rough in places. Painting it, I guess, bring it up to a more modern look, a more comforting feel, I guess, coming into the building. And then the lobby, how you approach and come in, it actually opens it up a little bit more for them. So the front counter where you would come in now on the left, that will come out. Those ladies will then sit behind a wall that's directly behind them. And then there'll be windows cut out into there that they can have some protective glass up there. And then they'll be able to greet the customers as they come through at that point.
Are they addressing the stairway access too? I thought they were gonna,
The stairway is staying the same. I mean,
they
to go
doing-
redo that would be a huge undertaking.
yeah, I know the stairs are staying. I thought they were just trying to, maybe it was just the front. They were trying to,
Well, at one point,
contain
it's
access.
changed, right? So originally, the counter was gonna go off the side, go directly in front of that stairway that goes up, then close that off. Open it up so that on the, I gotta get my bearings straight in that building, to the west side or the left side when you come in, they wanted to open up, take that wall out, open that up so it'd be free access back to there for more customer seating. But it's changed. And so actually the design they have now is probably the simplest way to go about it and get some, most of the things that they're looking for.
We're gonna be able to do all this while it's open, I assume.
yes.
Well, we'll arrange it as best we can, right? But yeah, they'll continually, they'll stay open. It's just how people will be brought in and ushered through.
I'm not sure what their timeline is on all of this, but
So we have to get bids. Currently, they're working on getting refreshing bids. So what will it take to paint the whole building? What will it take to floor the whole building? One of the things that, once we get that ballpark figure to make sure the numbers are correct, we'll go back and evaluate and talk about how we're going to move. So you do have room over in the crisis center to take people and temporarily move them over so they can function from there, meet with clients, have meetings. And then it would kind of be a staged approach. You'd go through one area, do flooring, probably rip the flooring out, paint, put the flooring back down and go to the next one, right? And just kind of jump around as you can.
Right, makes sense.
So it'll be quite undertaking. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of
Maybe for
scheduling.
you.
yeah. Yep.
No, we'll keep them open and keep them working.
But it's a lot, and I haven't been part of the conversations with Dell over there, so I don't know what his expected timeline is or what the architect's gonna do, but I wanted to make sure that, $1.3 million that somebody from Renew is briefing the commissioners on that work. Or that you should be asking about.
It'd be nice to see the bids.
Well, it'd be nice to see the bids, but also what is the, excuse me, what's the direction of the architect? You know, if they're gonna do an RFQ to hire an architect to do the redesign, is the architect gonna do all those bids? And are they gonna?
Well, so the way I've worked with Jeff on this is that we would go out and get a refresh on cost per square footage for painting and flooring, separate that out. Try to reduce the architect's costs. I mean, every time you ask them, what color do we want the wall? Well, $5,000, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
right? So I would feel that we can make decisions on colors and things like that and find the appropriate contractor to paint, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna have to be somebody that can move through fairly quickly, have enough people, employees to do the job. Obviously, we gotta go out to bid with everybody. So we gotta think about how we write that when we go out to bid with it, but we're looking for the rough estimates right now, the budgetary numbers, just to make sure that the budget has enough to carry that. Obviously, if we get into a half.
They budgeted 2,264,000 in their capital, so I'm sure it's not all. I'm just looking at the adopted budget, I'm still trying to find the worksheet that we worked on.
Yeah, because they still have to get their chiller done on the rooftop there, which is a fairly large one. They got duct cleaning that they're working on. There's another Quincy refresh on that building, so the exterior and the roofing.
We want to think about, let's talk about that chiller later.
Well, the chiller's coming.
Yeah, I know, but, never mind. You know, that was never designed to be on the roof.
And we're putting it on the roof.
Yeah, it's on the roof now.
What was, so was the building not designed for it on the roof, or the chiller's not designed to be?
No,
on
they,
everything?
when that place was built, they did a change order to
Okay,
put it up on the roof. They had it down on the ground. That's where it was originally scheduled, and Vern Cummings said, absolutely not. I don't want it on the ground. For what reason, nobody knows, but that's how it ended up on the roof. So currently, to access that is through a window still. Yeah. So there isn't a door that goes onto the roof. There's a window that you go through to get onto the roof, because that part of it was never fixed when the building was built. So.
Maintenance guys don't need access to fans or anything like that up there.
So it was, the building was designed to have it down in a little area on the ground, but Vern didn't want to give up that space. So, I don't know.
But the piping and everything is, if you started changing that out, that would be huge the way it runs through there.
You'd probably need pumps and everything too to get it up, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah. It's one of our interesting buildings, so.
If you'd like a tour, just let me know.
You just gotta schedule it, right? We still have to do that, take you through all the buildings.
It's one of the nicer buildings, though, sadly.
It's one of the newer ones, yes.
Once it warms up.
Umberto, our new landscaper, and Steve Mantle from the fairgrounds are headed down to the Tri-Cities for a couple of days, tonight, and over the next couple of days, getting their pesticide applicators license. This helps us a lot because we're licensed to do all of our own chemicals and pesticides.
Oh, that was one of the questions I had in the consent agenda. There were it was 3 different numbers for that amount.
On the consent agenda, there should be one amount for the chemicals.
Yeah, it was 3 different. Like what it added up to was different than what was written down and what was different on the front page.
Huh. I can go back and look at it. I can verify that cost before consent tomorrow.
Today.
Or today, I'm sorry, yeah, today. I'll confirm it today.
Yeah, on the front it's 21, 112, 27. Then inside it's 21, 170, 80. And then when you do you add the total price with the tax, it's another number.
Okay. Sorry, I missed that. I'll make sure that's correct. You guys you're only doing roundtable during the consent period,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, okay. I'll make sure it's updated before you go to that meeting. So, sorry about that. Yeah, now that is an annual purchase we do every year. And it is based off a state contract that is bid by the state of Washington, and then they dictate who you use. And in our case, it's Wilbur Ellis in this region. So, but it is nice to get guys with the applicators licenses, because they don't just do the work there, they do it here, and and then we can do it anywhere. So it's going to give us 3 because Chris has his, and then we'll have Steve and we'll have Umberto for here.
Yep.
So
Oh, it comes in very handy. We do, just in the rose bushes and sterilizing the ground around here is quite a bit. So it cuts the cost down.
that's about it for the maintenance update for today, unless the commissioners have any questions. Leave you some time for.
Did you get the new appraisal for work release?
Not yet. I expect it any day. I was going to call them today and find out.
I was wondering how that was going.
Well, you know, they toured the building. They said it was going to take 4 to 5 weeks. We're at the 5-week mark. So I would be surprised if we didn't have it this week, but I was going to call them this morning. So.
And that's probably another discussion on what we want to do with content. So we talked with the sheriff, started hauling things out of there. So like they had old t-shirts and clothes, and we started getting them types of things out. But you got clothes washers, dryers, the kitchen, obviously all that. I guess we got to decide.
It either
What
goes
can
with
stay,
it
what
with the
can go.
sale, or we surplus it and, you know, so.
Have we heard any more from the city on that, if they're still interested?
They're waiting on the appraisal, yeah. If you wanted to pop into executive session for 3 minutes, I could give you an update on that.
Which one's that gonna be under?
Real estate,
Acquisition?
yeah.
We're going to go into executive session for 2 minutes, beginning at 10:13 a.m., coming out at 2:15 p.m. a.m. For real estate acquisition, RCW 42.30.1101B.
We can whitelist the domain in Barracuda.
Good morning, it's 10:30 a.m. and we are here for a tech services update.
Good morning again, commissioners. A quick update to the facilities meeting we had just a few minutes ago. It seems that Chris had the tax amount wrong. What's on the cover of the face sheet that went to the consent request is correct. $21,112.27 for the annual chemical purchase. The total price was $19,512.26 without tax. And then he used the wrong taxable amount. So $21,112.27 is the correct amount.
Okay, advertised correctly in the agenda, so we're good on the motion or later.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
And thanks for catching that. So I'm sorry I didn't catch it. I usually do, but that one right on by me. So I'd like to start the update with an update on Senate Bill 5014. This is the Albert sensor bill. I did speak with Commissioner Rob Kaufman of Lincoln County, and he wants to have a networking event with Lincoln and Ferry and us just to get our IT folks together and discuss cybersecurity, cyber vulnerabilities, things like that. I think we have some ideas. I think I copied you on the email that I sent to Paul Jewell. I think they're doing exactly what they need to do to say this is the expectation. For Grant County, I don't think a lawsuit helps us. I don't think we're gonna be supported by the PAO to try and sue the state of Washington, especially when there's only 3 counties. So we were gonna find a way to comply, which we had done already, but I think it's easier for us than those other 2 counties. So I have not heard back from Rob Kaufman, but he made the suggestion that we all get together. So we're working on that. When that does happen, I'll let you know if any of you wanna attend
Sure.
and hang out. So, and we'll see what happens with that. Mac has requested Joe to attend a meeting. Actually, before we do that, we can talk about the handle software and Right Track. So go ahead.
So we believe we kind of ran into a little bit of a snag here. Last fall, fall, summer, 8th month, August, right? So Swale had requested a change to their Right Track system for youth services, and there was an email I got and it talked about what the intended or what the proposed cost would be moving forward. And it went all the way back to the original cost of the application, which had different numbers, but that was the original cost. And even in that email, they talked about a total of $33,750. And every communication we had thereafter was for $33,750. This was her consent item that she did for you, all that you signed. And in the consent item, the total amount that was approved was $33,750. So there was,
Well,
we
and
received a bill for $64,000.
And our purpose for bringing this up is not that we don't want you to have the software.
Right.
But when we have a consent item and a budgetary item that was approved, and then it comes in at twice the amount, we don't just have that money in our budget.
Yeah.
And if the software is needed, then it's needed. That's up to her to tell us, you know, and that's fine. We just need to know that you can do a budget extension so that we can be made whole again,
Yeah.
you know, and.
That's what we were gonna propose was
Yeah.
we can pay it out of 3506 or our maintenance budget. And then just have you come in and do a budget extension to make it up, and then we'll bill you for it. We put that back in the coffers for moving forward through the rest of
But
the
we
year.
are, but it is surprising
Yeah.
to see a software more than double in cost for going to the cloud. So I don't know
It
what's in.
wasn't for the cloud.
Oh, okay,
It was
okay.
the upgrade that we needed, and I think in the first email that I sent in October, it was explaining that it came from you guys' department saying that you guys need to move it because we needed a version of the silver lighting that is no
Right.
longer
So
compatible with
it's
that.
kind of, it's both of those things in one, right? So Silverlight was a known problem, and we were using a deprecated browser in order to access the application, and moving to the cloud solved it. So moving to the cloud was kind of the nomenclature that we use because more people are familiar with that. And we totally get it, and totally not trying to keep you from your stuff.
Oh,
It's
no,
just-
no.
We were shocked when we got the bills, like,
Yeah.
all we saw was $33,750. What's this?
Well, and I think some of this is the manufacturer doing a little, you know, no fault to Swahili.
Correct.
The software manufacturer doing a little gold digging because Microsoft Silverlight was, you know, a tool used by the Microsoft Internet browser, and it made web pages work better. But when they decided to kill support for Silverlight, there was a lot of software vendors that all of a sudden their software didn't work anymore in a browser-based environment. So this is their way of saying, well, we had to retool everything. Well, not really, but we can't really.
They had years and years of notice that it was gonna
Yeah,
happen.
they had
Yes.
plenty of time to correct that situation, so, we'll put more money in the budget next year for what the new amount's gonna be moving forward. My guess is that this was probably more, coding on their end than it was actual hosting, and again, they kept saying 33,750 total through every piece of documentation I could find, looking all the way
We were
through.
surprised.
And that's why I was like, we even put 37,000 away just in case there was tax and stuff on that, just to make sure we had it covered. And so, yeah,
So for the purposes today, I think what we're hoping for is the commissioners to say, yeah, it's gonna be okay that Swahili does a budget extension for that because we have the bill that we need to pay.
yeah.
But we want to make sure the board is aware and that they're going to be okay with Swahili doing a budget extension.
And we would support that on her
Yeah,
behalf. So.
Yeah, and you may not need a budget extension because, you know, Mandy, we'd like to wait till the end of the year instead of just quickly doing, unless Mandy tells you differently, but typically just go ahead and.
So just go ahead and pay it and then bill
Well,
a few services?
As long as we
And if
have
they need one,
two commissioners telling us that, then
Okay,
we're
well,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just being
And
clear.
like you say, I don't mind either way if it's us or them requesting by the extension. I know it's coming from the county, so as long as I have the right track, that's the
usually
only
Mandy
thing I
will reach
need.
out to you at the end, October, November, and say, hey, Swahili, we need to do a budget extension. They do kind of a review of that, and you're gonna know that you've got about 38,000 or whatever.
The only issue that I have with that process is that when errors are made, and this is an innocent error in my opinion,
Mhm.
but how do you have any accountability if budget extensions just wait to see if current expense doesn't need a budget extension? If it just rolls in, then there's no
Because you gotta
accountability
pay
to
to
anyone
advertise and-
that's making errors.
So I don't want to gum up the works, but I will say I've discovered something strange over the last couple of years about the change in the way we do that. When you do a budget, so we used to have to do budget, we try not to do budget extensions, okay? But the reason you do a budget extension is because you're spending more money that was previously approved through a budget process that had public input. So you do the budget extension so that you can have people, 99% of the time, they don't show up. But at the end of the year, when you do it, you're actually approving budget extensions without the money's spent. So in December, when we do that blanket budget extension, if a member of the public were to come in and say, well, what does it even matter if I show up? Because the money was already approved. I just think that's weird.
But there is a verbal, so
Yeah.
I know because yours is a capital, we may not be able to just write a check. So go visit with, I didn't have Mandy's. Go visit with Mandy upstairs and see if you are required to do a budget extension right now because it is capital. I think it's considered capital. It's over.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cutoff
Yeah.
is. but-
Well, it is, yeah. So I just find it interesting. That's all. I wasn't trying to say we have to change anything. Just seems strange. So I could see
Well,
somebody
but we
from the
can be
public saying that.
advertising
Yeah, I
every
don't
week.
like the way it is. I
Every
mean,
week on
Mandy's
something.
kind of different than it was, for sure.
Yeah.
And just rolling stuff in it's not even transparent to us sitting here. And if I'm a fiduciary responsibility, I don't know what's going on, then I'm not the responsibility. I'm just sitting here smiling at you guys. So I don't know. We need to.
Which
look
we're good
into that
with.
stuff. I know.
The policy procedure is totally up to how you guys want to do this.
Yeah.
We just know that we got a bill bigger than what we anticipated, and the reason that I would suggest that the entity submit for the extension is because it doesn't matter what entity we take care of in their grand scheme, they're the person that uses that application, so it usually it has fallen on that entity to make the request.
Well, and I
So
think,
if it's the sheriff's office or you guys or the courts or whoever.
and I think for auditing purposes, if the state auditor were to flag that purchase, then they would come to Joe and we would say, well, go speak with Swahale. It was her software.
Yeah.
She could tell you why, so it's better if the user does.
I'm just trying to be consistent with what we've done in the past in TS, so.
So can I, just for clarity? This bill's $33,750.
That was signed for the deal, so I don't know if you guys need to have this resubmitted for the full total amount. 'Cause
Well, wait,
it's-
we've already approved it. Okay, so you don't,
Well, you've only approved 33,750.
Right.
You've not approved the full total amount.
Yeah.
So, just for clarity, for my side was there a contract that was signed for $60-some thousand?
Not for $60-some thousand, just the 33,750.
We haven't signed. So typically when they send the invoice, then that's when those terms and conditions are a part of that. The terms and conditions haven't changed. It's just the cost on the invoice, but we haven't paid that invoice.
So since we got the software, they have always billed the licensing fees. So the 20-something extra that is not included on the upgraded fee, they weren't adding it to the upgraded fee because for them was like, this is just the upgrade, this is gonna cost you to upgrade. But since the other 20-something for the licensing, they thought they already know every year we build this, that, that was the case.
so Barb sent this on Thursday, February 13th, the request to purchase. So it has been approved. I think there's just been confusion when it says this is the total cost of the upgrade.
Yes.
I think it just looked like this is the total cost of
Well, and we were never-
the software plus the upgrade.
And maybe the better question is, do you just want it resubmitted on consent for the new total amount? So that we have that
Well,
approval.
it does say it was approved just the upgrade. So, I mean, we've approved it. I mean, if we want to do it.
Well, we
That's
would
the
need to
initial
send it in
cost for
for
this
approval
upgrade.
anyway, because it'd be over $20,000,
Okay.
so it'd have to come to the board just as a
Because that was
payment.
last year.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, like it went through legal and everything, and it was like, the vendor, no one indicated that there was going to be more than that, and that was the part that threw us off. And we asked like 33,750, they're like, yep, okay, we'll ask for 37. They were like, okay.
Yeah, and that's
So-
why, and that was what was in our budget.
I'm not the only one that's confused.
No, I'm right, I'm
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
there with you. I was just like, I'm kind of mad at the vendor. I
Yeah.
really would have hoped that they would have been like, yeah, this is for this, and don't forget you gotta pay this.
Right.
That's not,
Yeah.
none of the communication went that way, and that's why Vanessa and I were like,
Well,
what?
and that's why we're here today talking about it.
Yeah.
So,
So has anybody contacted the vendor and said it's not acceptable?
No, that would, I believe, fall on Suhail to have that discussion with them, so.
No, it says everything just upgrade.
And for me, that was clear, like, this is just the numbers for the upgrade. Whatever we have separate, because we pay for license fee, that's different. So I mean, I'm taking a little bit different, but I told you that like at the end of the day, you know, we made a mistake and, you know, we're here to try to fix it, so.
So I would tell them in the future that they need to be very clear.
I will be very clear
Well,
when I
maybe we
speak with
just
them.
need to ask, like, yeah, the upgrade would be 33,750. The total cost for this software, you know, I think that was.
Well, they kept putting the word total next to that amount,
Yeah, total
as if it
upgrade.
was,
The total.
nothing indicated that there was anything more.
Right.
And we were like, okay, this is an increase over the 20 some odd thousand we were paying up to the 30 whatever. It's like, okay, seems reasonable. So we just like, we put that in the budget for moving forward this year, like it was just gonna be covered.
Right, makes sense.
So we thought that we had accounted for everything. Apparently not. So, and significantly so.
Yeah, that's a big oops, so. I'm gonna move on now, so we've only got about a minute left.
Okay, so, okay,
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to know, so I guess, so Swahili, what would you want Swahili to do?
I guess just run the full amount back through for consent item again,
Okay.
so that we're looking,
full amount.
so that way they've signed for the full
And then we
amount.
have it in the record.
Yeah, and then.
And then that's for next year will be.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely, it will be much better
Yes.
communicated to the vendor.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank
I
you.
just
Thank
came for
you.
that.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you. Yeah.
Mac has requested Joe to attend a meeting with their cellular router representative, and I'm gonna let Joe explain that, because it's fun.
He got me on time, so this will be short. Mac lives under the illusion that they have a fancy router that fixes all problems, and it doesn't. It adds the capacity to put multiple SIMs in it for multiple different carriers and even satellite connectivity. The problem is if you have a single cell tower that's 10 miles from you, because sometimes that's how far away we are from them, all the carriers are on that one tower. It doesn't matter whose signal you're trying to get, it's still gonna suck. So they think that they're gonna silver bullet me with this thing. And I went and looked up some information based on where the application 365 Labs is being developed in Baton Rouge, and comparisons to their cell tower density and whatnot compared to Grant County cell tower density and population and GDP and what they can afford versus what we can afford. And I'm not gonna stump to come back and ask for, I need 4 times the subscription amount for every patrol car just because they think we need to have a router that does that. And I know that they're gonna come back and say, well, we're gonna cover it for the first year. Fabulous. The county pays you more than any other singular entity, period. And we're gonna have to pick up those license fees after that. Even if you say you're gonna cover it long-term, we're still paying for it. So what difference does it make?
I think right now Spillman is still the better option.
And yeah, and I gave some specifications to Lieutenant Char to pass on to the MAC Advisory Board. The bandwidth should be 128 kilobytes and that latency should be no more than 150 milliseconds. And if their application cannot meet those standards, then there's no way we can use it, period. And I spoke at length with Jim Richardson, the IT director of Moses Lake, and he agreed wholeheartedly with my assessment of that. And he will be talking with Chief Sands in the same regard. If I have anything to say about it, we will stay with Spillman. So that is my vote, and I will push for it. And if I get overruled, then we will just do our job. But I'm not gonna guarantee that
you're
we're.
alone.
Yeah, what we want to guard against is somebody coming back and saying it's your network when, if we know it's not.
Because I know we can't meet the standards that they put forward.
And we've got a really robust network, more robust than most, so.
So we've already spent the money on that 365.
Don't know. I have asked questions about how was it acquired? Was there an RFP that was written? Who selected it? Who vetted it? Who came here and actually looked at our environment to determine how it was going to be developed, whether it would even work? None of those questions have been answered.
It's almost like the Secretary of State going out and getting software from Homeland Security.
People crawl up my butt once a year when the auditor shows up so that I make sure I'm doing my job right. I'm just making sure Mac's doing their job right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think
Share the
that's
fun,
fair.
Share the fun.
okay,
I think we've
Breathe
got
in
emails
strength.
Breathe in
figured
strength,
out.
exhale, other things.
yeah. Any questions for technology services today?
No, sorry to cut into your time, but
Oh, you're fine.
I think, yeah, lesson learned under the software upgrade. My students get hit by it. And it does look like the total cost, but it does say total cost of.
Well,
we just need a little more
at
clarity.
the end of the day, it's a bigger chunk of money than what we were authorized to spend.
Right.
So we have to make sure that the board has vision of that and that we have approval for it. So that's the
Typically,
thing.
an upgrade does not cost more than the.
Yeah,
The
we,
checks
you
send
know,
out match the consent item that we're given, and so it doesn't match, so we can't send the payment yet.
yeah, and to be more than double the original cost is really crazy. So I don't know if she can find something different, but.
Yeah, I was wondering that if there's another option.
My fear at that is if you choose another thing, if the bulk of this was just to get it up to the speed where it's gonna be moving forward, and then it comes back down in price because we're paying for licensing and hosting, which I assume it's probably gonna, we're okay. But if you move to something else, then you're paying for another initial everything,
Uh-huh.
which is always a spike in cost, and then whatever the reoccurring is
Right
after that.
track, we've had it maybe 8-10 years, and it's kind of brought.
It's been around for a bit. It's
Longer than I've been here.
like,
How long have you been
no,
here?
it was, I think I want to say it was around 2015. It was right around the time that,
10 years, okay,
Yeah.
8-10 years.
yeah.
And it really was supposed to, yeah, I think the bookings helped with the bookings.
Well, I guess you weren't quite here yet then, were you? Yeah, okay.
But the bigger concern is moving to another product. It's going to be just like moving to Tyler
Mhm.
or just like Mac moving
Real
to
nightmare.
365 Labs.
Yeah.
It could potentially be a nightmare that we may not want to have to deal with.
And they really do care, like the product. It serves their needs well as far as we're, so,
It's a niche
Yeah,
software.
because we had some issues before, so.
yeah. Well, they were using like a Access database, and that was bad.
It wasn't going well.
It was
Yes.
very, very bad.
Yesterday, I meant to tell you guys, yesterday I spent about an hour and a half walking around the jail with Leidig. We have our first IT room built.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to come see it.
I sent some questions to Steve and Dave.
IT might be moving up there, they might like their.
This is a pretty small room.
No. I've told Tom for years that we're gonna figure out a way to evict accounting, and then we're just gonna take that whole top half of the third. That's my goal. He will fall in line at some point.
No. We have lots of space issues, Joe. You guys are not at the top of the list.
Come
Well, as
on.
soon as they start shutting down everybody's email access, they might be.
Yeah, there you go. Don't give them any ideas.
Just keep the subliminal suggestion.
You can take your iPad and sit, or your computer and sit at the table.
I don't present till later.
You can still sit there.
Good morning, it is 11 a.m. and we are here for clerk of the board update.
Well, I can do, just until Barb gets here, I can go over the appointments of members, boards, and committees. I've sent out the ballots for the Left One Cities and Towns representative. There are 2 names on the ballot. One of them is a current board member. She wants to serve again, but we did get a nomination from the City of Electric City. So the deadline to receive responses will be March 6th. And then after that, the appointment letter will be before you guys. And then the opening for the at-large position on the left board, that the application time for that closes next week. And then again, it'll be before the commissioners. Marge Steinmetz does want to serve again, so they're just waiting to see if there's any other applicants. And other than that, that's what I've got for boards and committees.
Thank you.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little low today.
I know, why are you? Let's
It's
chair
a
up.
weird chill. I couldn't find the button.
Well, here, just
Oh, here
switch,
it
we
is.
need to move that chair out. I don't know how it ended up.
Oh, there we go. Okay, way better. I'm at the kids' table on the back. Okay, number 1 on my agenda was the pending decision spreadsheet. Did you cancel the 10:45, your work session?
No, it's
It's
not
right
on
up-
here though. So it's-
Yes, on the agenda.
It's on there.
Apparently, we didn't have one then.
well, whoops.
We did it. At the recess when we did it.
Good answer, Kevin, good answer.
Because that's where we have the pending decision spreadsheet too.
We
so
already went
just-
over that.
I did hear that, yes. I was having
Earlier,
computer
I think during
issues. So.
roundtable. Or 8:30 to 9 o'clock.
Because you had extra time there. So I'll print those.
Yeah, TS went like 5 minutes long and then I didn't do it. I just recessed, so.
Do you want me just to email those to you every Friday, or would you like them printed for Mondays?
What?
You can
The
email.
pending decisions.
It needs
spreadsheet.
updated. The travel policy needs removed. I feel like we could remove the ARFs thing if we're not gonna do the 3-month puppy thing, which I don't think that we would. I wouldn't mind reviewing Moses Lake's new ordinance and implementing something similar, but we don't have the same issues in the county as they have on Stratford Road.
And I had forwarded that to you when they adopted it for your
A long
review.
time ago.
Yeah.
But we
We
can
just-
put the morgue on. I know we're working on it, but the morgue is a bigger piece that we
Add more.
do get, we do get updates, but I think it's keep it moving. I'm gonna compel you
yeah.
on that.
And I would say probably remove the
Museum property.
museum property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we should put I know this isn't the board, but the health insurance. Try to remind everybody.
I sent out emails
I know.
about
And
it.
Caitlin said there was some stuff out, but doggone it, we're gonna get everybody in our office to do it, so maybe.
There was
maybe we
not
need
much
to-
interest when I would remind people. They just
It's
had
super
no
easy.
desire,
It's the easiest
They
thing
do.
to do.
and they chose not to.
I did all the stuff,
So I
I
did.
just couldn't
It's
sign
amazing.
on the
Yeah.
one day I had time and then I forgot about it.
So I did, I sent out
We'll
and
try to
communicated
keep
that.
her
whole
reminded. It's
time.
just one of
You
those things
betcha.
you just need to,
Yep.
Caitlin, at least we're gonna, add 1 or 2 individuals, so Blair, we'll
Yep.
be harassing you.
Okay, so I'm adding the morgue, removing the travel policy, removing ARFs, and removing the museum property. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
And then the safety committee plan.
Blair, do you want to
Blair,
take
it
that
says
over?
gift to risk coordinator once hired, so,
Do you see our plan right here?
I have not seen that, but
Here, I'll
And then for the small and attractive items, I know you guys had talked about it this morning, were you wanting staff to reach out to Mandy?
yeah, I
or-
was just asking if you would.
Okay.
So, Sarah, till next
Or
week.
like, what is this? We have a policy and it just specifies the safety risk coordinator or the risk coordinator, and we didn't really have a name associated with that.
Sure.
But now we have a position, so we can go ahead and update that.
okay.
Okay. New incident claims received. We received one. It was the gentleman who is filing claim against the sheriff's office, the judge's public defense. We received a letter today from Clear Risk saying that what is covered and what is not. So I'll be going over that with you, sir.
Okay.
Review of public hearings. You have one tomorrow.
Today.
Today's Tuesday. Do you have any questions regarding that?
Just SIP, I think I saw.
And that's on your website under upcoming public hearings for your review. Do you have any questions about your agenda for the week? Any meetings that you have questions on why they're on there, what they might entail?
No, just on the EDC, I will be nominating Kevin on tomorrow.
Oh, and then you'll be getting off.
Yeah, because
I see it
my
was a
term is up.
Member, okay.
You'll let us know what they decide. and
Well,
then
they're
we can-
gonna decide yes, because he's the only person up for the position,
Oh.
so.
I
I
haven't
talked
looked
to
at the
Brant
email.
about it, so.
And then we can change all the calendar appointments to reflect your name. Okay. Mailroom clerk position, I did put this on my agenda. So last week, the board met with Josh in the mailroom. And I was pleasantly surprised that the board decided to make the position full-time now. When we had contacted you last year, you didn't want it, but
No, we're not making the position full-time. So the position is still gonna remain part-time. But if there's other duties that he can, so I guess we need to clarify, because there's not, like he even said, there's not enough time, that he actually has 1 more hour that he's there, that there's not a whole lot he can do. So he's got from 1 to 2. I think he's busy from 2 to 3.
Because at the meeting, you had mentioned that he
Finding some other
wants
things.
40 hours.
Yes, he would like 40 hours if we can find some other, so I did go talk to Tom. I believe I talked to HR about that. So she was gonna visit with Tom and figure out what to do. So it's not per se that, I don't know how it would, I don't know if like if he's working in the board
I think the
office.
discussion was he would be kind of a floater.
But working 40 hours, because that's his key. He has to have 40 hours.
Working 40 hours, but I
Okay.
don't think it won't be in the mailroom. It will be elsewhere.
Yes,
So.
yes. And then how
Yeah.
that,
My question with that would be, how would he get paid?
He may roll into maintenance. He might be helping TS, so that might be a 2 or 3 hour TS. So I don't have an answer for that one. We're still in the initial
okay.
research,
So
which
Josh
involves other.
is happily waiting for your response. So Josh would love to hear from you about that. So excellent.
So I think HR hopefully will give us that update on, make a little note.
And
You've already had
Blair,
a comment.
Blair is here because he's on the agenda for the budget and the risk coordinator. A lot of bleeding is going on between, so HR is his supervisor, Decorah, but we don't have anything in the budget. I'll let Caitlin talk about that.
So I did payroll last week, and Blair is on the commissioner's office payroll. But as far as I'm aware, we don't have his wages budgeted into our payroll budget. As far as I know of, I didn't know if you guys remembered. Emily, I don't think she remembered.
What's a budget? Let me figure out where.
So then,
I guess he's working for free now.
No,
Well-
no, because we put this in our budget because it was actually approved
yes, was it?
last year before it even hit our budget. So I'm trying to,
I don't remember
where we ended up.
putting it in a place. I remember moving Kirk to us. I don't think we put the risk coordinator position in a budget anywhere.
Because it happened, it was approved before.
Yeah, it should have been in the hypothetical new position account, and I don't know if that account was created or not.
I can find out.
Yeah, find out from Mandy, and it would be then transferred into whichever department that employee is supervised in.
So are you wanting him paid out of HR then, since
Yeah,
Decorah's?
but then that money would need transferred to HR's budget.
Yes. Okay, so then I guess that kind of answers the next question. It was just like for his office supplies, if he was getting paid, his payroll was getting paid out of the BOCC's budget, if that means his office supplies would then be paid out of our budget. But if you're wanting it in HR, would you guys feel comfortable with HR paying for his office supplies?
The
Yeah, I
cell
mean,
phone and all that.
Yeah, as far as paper clips and notepads, I don't necessarily think that matters too much.
And his mileage when he uses a car. So we weren't sure if it was commissioners
Well,
or HR.
I think if we get a county administrator, it might come back into the county. But currently it's under HR. So we probably should put everything under HR. It's hard if the expenses were in our office, but HR, I think the whole thing should transfer over to HR. And then if it's moved elsewhere, it will be.
Did it seem like Decorah thought all the expenses were coming from our budget?
I don't think Decorah was sure. We were just,
It doesn't necessarily matter, we can move that around.
I will reach out to Mandy today then. And then this is not necessarily risk coordinator, but just a quick little update. The commissioner's office, the office supplies budget line, we have $20 left in it. There were there was only $2,000 budgeted in that line. There were a couple of big purchases, namely the microphones. It was $700 for the microphone arrays, and TS charged our office, obviously because they're for the commissioners, which came out of that line. And then we had budgeted like the screen extenders for the laptops for travel and everything. And then I know Carrie had needed a new chair, but just an FYI that we will probably need some sort of extension or something on that line.
The microphone's gotten to us, huh?
They're talking about buying more
Not on our budget, they're not.
for back there, I believe, so.
Well,
Should've set
back
this
there
room up
picks
properly when
everybody
we
up.
had grant
Everybody
funds.
over in the back corner, you can whisper. It's here.
Where we need it the most is you guys.
Then you just drop them down, hang them right here, not worry about what it looks like.
If you do it with that
Isn't that what
one,
they
you
used
will
to
not
do
be
with
able to see
recording?
like anybody here.
We could just drop these and then they would pick up.
Kevin just has
Yeah,
to
they-
shout.
They just moved the camera then.
It's so difficult. They did talk about it. It's not like it wouldn't be pulling teeth by any means, but it would be significantly easier to just not move that microphone.
I think we can lower these. When people go in the recording studios, it's the mic.
Don't pull it.
I did try. Why? I can go down if you probably have my head.
Why don't they just move that over to that pole?
You know, because then it'd be
Kevin, we can't
30,000
afford it.
to-
We have $20. We're not- we have $20 per thing. Sorry, we'll be stealing.
How
So
much money
where-
is in the audio in this room? It should be like the best thing you've ever heard.
When you go to HR, can you steal their paper clips and paper? Because we obviously have nothing.
Got it.
For certain things like toner and paper clips and all that, we can charge it to the public records line or tourism, or when the time comes,
Well, I'm kidding.
LTAC.
Just put it where it needs to go and we will do a budget extension if needed.
For a lot of those things, we do typically rotate who paid, like especially printer stuff, we rotate the accounts that it comes out of. So like this time around, the printer usage and the ink that I just bought for it, tourism will be paying for that. So we've been printing a lot of stuff for them lately. So there are certain things that we can do just to
Well, wait.
share the wealth.
What about the chairs? The chairs are used by not just commissioners. Get in trouble. Share the chairs.
That's what I have.
Well, the veterans and BOE and.
Hearings examiner.
Yeah, I think we should probably start charging rent for this room. Everybody else uses it.
It's $700 for a microphone.
That's right.
I'm scared to touch it.
It was $700 for all, like, not $700 each, $700 total for the whole thing.
What'd they charge us to install?
I don't think that was an installment
7,000.
thing. Their paycheck, probably.
That was free. The installation was free. Okay.
So if all your budget's going to be moved to HR, do you still need us here to
No, then I
sit with your
don't
meeting?
think,
Okay.
you need to see her if I move into HR then budget wise, so
Okay, you'll just talk to
I
them.
thought
Don't
that
talk
was
to
some
Decorah.
supplies for
Okay.
us.
I can do that.
We just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no,
you
that
did this or
changes,
not, so.
I can answer some questions for me then.
But don't worry, Blair. We'll probably change it back in 2 months.
The only constants change, I've got used to that.
Sucker needs to go in the dumpster, because I went down.
I
15
agree with you.
notches.
I agree. That's just, I don't know why it's still here. We got rid of those chairs for a reason.
We need a surplus
Oh,
then.
there's the other one back.
There should be a third one. Put it in the
Somebody
hallway.
probably
Maybe
could
somebody will
get-
take them.
Is
Is that the one that's supposed to go over there?
One's missing.
Thank goodness somebody stole one.
Okay, it is 11:16 and we are here for our first risk coordinator update.
Good morning.
Welcome again, Blair.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here. First time being here as your official risk and safety coordinator. Well, you guys answered some of the questions with what was going on. So with that, I mean, some of the questions I had were finding out who would order business cards and nameplates and stuff like that for me. So that's been answered now. I'll just talk to Decorah about that.
Well, I think you probably just order your own and
Yeah,
whatever.
or I don't know the system to use, so I'll just talk to
Okay.
Decorah about that. Or talk to Barb and have her send it to Bill to Decorah. One of the questions I have is for keys. Do I need keys for other buildings? Because I know my key card will get me into a lot of buildings, but if I visit other buildings, will I need keys to get in or should it?
That would be a really good Tom question,
Talk to
because
Tom.
if you do have access, Tom's gonna wanna know what buildings you have access
Yeah.
to.
Okay, I'll talk to Tom about that. One of the things is with the job, my job is travel and stuff like that. What vehicle, do I continue to use the motor pool vehicles when traveling?
Yeah, we have a great little almost Sprinter van. We do have the Ford Escape. Is
Yeah,
there a
I went to
Ford
use
Escape?
that the other day and it was dead.
Okay,
last week.
We've had some other issues with it.
So, I mean, that was one of the questions is just so continue to use the motor pool vehicle. Okay.
Yeah, the van, did you
The
call?
van was
to let 'em-
gone.
Okay, did you call and let her know that the vehicle?
Yes, they went and took it and they fixed it and it's back now. So,
Okay.
but it was out. So I was just, that
Don't
was
take
my
it far.
question. Yeah. Okay.
I think if we leave town, we almost need a different vehicle.
Okay. And then the next one was a credit card, just continue to use, so HR's credit card for anything I do.
Each credit card should have a name tied to it, so Decorah will help you get a credit card
Okay.
just with your name,
Okay, perfect.
so it's tied to you.
And then, I know this is a brand new department or it's stuff like this. Do I have any type of budget for training, for ongoing training for myself that I have for previous certifications? And,
Well, we do have, sure. Because we haven't put your budget together.
Yeah.
I can't believe we overlooked it, but we do have like a countywide training that we put quite a
Mhm.
quite a few funds in, so we may have to just pull from that
Okay.
currently, but we do.
But for a plan for next
obviously need
year.
to do a budget extension or put some funds in. so.
okay. I mean, a lot of my stuff has been done for this year. I have most of my stuff done. But I'm talking just for the next couple of years, and going forward. So just thinking ongoing with setting this up. So that's something I was brought up. This may
There's
be
another one for travel too, travel and everything. else.
travel and stuff like that too. One of the things that happened last week, was when it was snowing, someone fell on the steps and they tried to reach out to some of the people here and no one was available. They were all in meetings and they go, can we close the front steps? And they asked me and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what kind of power I have or if I can make that call. So,
I would say yes.
okay. All right.
That would be my
Well,
opinion.
typically they are closed when there's snow or.
Well, it was
ice.
just starting.
Okay.
And so the security guard said, hey, someone slipped.
Okay.
Can we close the front steps? And so I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And so I just wanted to know, am I able to make that kind of call
Mhm.
if I need to? Okay,
I would say yes.
okay. I just wanted to see about that and I would let Tom know
And
afterwards.
sometimes, yes, like just a little email, like
Yeah.
if we close the front
Yeah,
steps. or
close
if
the front
there's
steps.
something-
It's icy, someone starts slipped and,
Because if you were to take action on something and then we didn't know about it, then it's like, hey,
Yep.
what?
Yep.
Again, like we closed the street here in front of the courthouse, we didn't know about it. But somebody had taken upon themselves because a tree branch may have fallen down. So, and that's kind of a big thing. It involves the city. and
yeah,
That we received calls, we knew nothing about it and how to track it down. So just
yeah. No, I understand.
a little
Okay.
heads up, like,
No, I just wanted to understand, like, could I do that? Because like I said, I don't know first week and not truly understanding everything. So it's just nice to
sounds
know
like a
that.
great, yeah.
Just to let you know, some of the things I did last week, I started reviewing the policies and procedures that we have. Started going through those. Decorah had me go through them. Some of them are a little old. Noticed some things, so been working with Decorah on that, talking to her. Also met with Brian Hurst, the safety coordinator at Public Works on Thursday. And then I do have another meeting scheduled with Public Works tomorrow morning, Director Andy Booth and a couple others. Going to go over some, seeing what they want to talk about. Brian and I had a couple ideas, talking about digitizing our loss forms that the guys fill out. So if there's a claim or anything like that, just making it all digital so people don't fill it out and handwrite. So it's easier to read. And trying to implement that pretty soon. I talked to Tom, he said he already has the digital form. So just pushing that out after I go through it. And then I also started looking at the 10-year loss ratio, loss runs of the county. So I got that from Clear Risk and going through it, breaking it down by year, each claim type, breaking it down by number of claims per year, total number of claims, and then the cost of the claims total per year, and then the average of numbers. So
Shane has that also.
he did, but the way he did it, I didn't like it as much. I couldn't manipulate it
Yeah,
as much.
long as you saw it.
And I have the
And then,
connections.
we have some years that are just peak.
Yeah, and it's easier for me to break down, and so I can play with it and use it. And he sent me what he had too. He only had a couple of years, and I wanted all 10 years, so I was able to get that to get a better understanding. The longer I'm here with getting the near misses and seeing all of the claims that are coming in, and we have, the better we can see in the trends to try to make a difference. So that's some of the things I've done. Question for you guys, is there anything you'd like me to look into or focus on as I start moving forward?
Out of trouble.
I'll do my best.
Well, I think the insurance, we have a fiscal meeting tomorrow, but do you have access to, you would have had access to what Grant County, what our lawsuits are? Because it's not just the external lawsuits, but the internal lawsuits and then the liabilities that we have.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I have all our claims, all are active.
So you had mentioned working on the procedures,
Mhm.
the policies and procedures, is maybe contracting out and having those updated.
Yeah, and there's companies out there that does it. Lexipol's one of them. They already do the sheriff's department. I don't know what the cost is of that, so I can't tell you. It may be very high, I don't know. But when you're looking at what the cost is to have, a lot of the employees going through it and the number of hours, the nice thing is when Lexipol does it, if there's a change, they send it to you, you hit the button, and then boom, it's in. So if there's any changes, it's really nice.
Well, the problem with some of our policies and procedures, it talks about it in this one, and then there's a contradiction in this one, if we don't.
And they fix it, and so they do a great job, and so it talks really nicely. And that's what they specialize in. That's what they do for a living, so.
It would be nice to get something like that, either it's every 5 years or.
Well, things change annually.
Well, and
It's almost like an annual.
it's an annual subscription you pay for.
Well, I'm just saying, we got stuff from 3 years ago that is still not updated, that's done. So.
Yeah, and so the nice thing would be for you guys, you would see it and go, oh, this is a change, and then we hit it, and then boom, it goes everywhere. So, yeah. So I learned about that, and so I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I mean, for fire departments and police departments and jails is what they used to do, and now they started doing.
Because we're governed by our policy, so if we're out of compliance with our policy or our policy is not updated, that it's available to the public or our employees, we are.
Yeah. Well, and just going through the policies, I was noticing, I'm like, well, this doesn't explain it. What is this? Or, some of the things aren't explained very well, so.
You mentioned something about our ADA last week about it.
Yeah, having your ADA coordinator posted on the website. Yeah, it needs to be posted.
Who is that? Do we know?
It's gonna be me. Yeah, because I am an ADA coordinator, so.
Used to be HR.
Yeah, and I talked to Cora, and she said that she's fine with that.
She's
And
okay letting that one go.
yeah, and then she's talked about maybe getting some certification in that as well, and I'll help her go through that and go where I went to get my certification, or anybody in HR that wants to do it. Just because I have gone through it and I know where to get all the certification. It's not terribly hard. It just takes a while, and it's easy to have. And it's the more people that you have it, the better.
Yeah.
So as you're kind of defining your job too, we meet quarterly for the elected officials and department heads for kind of trainings, and I'm sure your eyes will be open and you will see where we are falling short on some of our trainings or things that maybe we need to let our employees know. Because a lot of times HR or even public records. So if there's something that you see that we need to reach out to our employees, let us know and we can put that as a topic for our training.
And I have a list of trainings that I would like to see yearly and then every couple of years and stuff like that. So I have a whole list of things going I'm working on. So, yep. So.
Commissioners, on that note, is Blair a department head, and do we add him to the department head email distribution list?
I wouldn't say he's a department head, but he's an independent department. the manager. So I would add him to the list, but
Okay, TS manages that list. I could have them add him to that.
the to be informed list.
Hey, Blair, we're usually a little bit more organized than this, but we've just had a transition in our office. It was kind of an unexpected
Yeah, no,
transition.
I get it. I get that. So no, I thank you for the time today. And I now know that, I'll be switched back to, under Decorah, I think. Thanks for that. So, but if you do switch me and stuff like that back to BOCs, you guys, the one thing I would like to see is you just keep the risk management safety coordinator position aligned with human resources because of how much they go hand in hand. Those would be the only thing I would ask to see, because we would be working hand in hand a lot because of just some of the things that would be going on. So, and there's Decorah now.
I know.
So that would be the one thing I would ask. So they moved my time up to 15. So I'm just wrapping up.
Oh,
Should risk coordinator look at the conversation we're having last week or the week before about the insurance for freelance people, like photographers that are doing tourism? They don't have insurance or business licenses. And is there any risk in that?
So what's happened is we have a contractor that we've hired to do that, and then she's subbed it out to other people that may or may not have a license, may or may not have insurance. So we're just wondering, do we have any liability?
If you hired someone to do the work for you and if you've hired someone to do work for you, yeah, I would like to see that contract. And if they're then hiring it out, yeah, I'd say we would have some possible liability, because I would want to see who they're hiring, because you don't know what they're doing and what kind of work they're doing. And they could say they're, representing us, and could be a potential lawsuit for us if something happens. So.
Blair, I can email you her contract and a couple examples of the
Perfect.
freelancers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would just, any contracts or anything like that from now on. I know I'm going to be thrown into it. I know Barb's really excited to get rid of all that contract stuff. So I'll be getting that shortly. But looking at the contracts and stuff like that is something I'll be starting shortly. So.
Decorah, Blair his budget will be moving, the budget that we can't seem to find where we put him in 2025, that budget will be moving to HR for now.
Okay.
Just so that you will be
Okay.
doing the payroll and everything. And we have we probably need to put some training and some other items in the budget when we do that transfer, not just payroll, so.
Okay.
Office supplies,
Okay. Sounds good.
travel. Unless we find it here in the next little bit, but I think it was on our sheet of kind of new positions, because we approved it in 2024. I just don't think we ended up putting that position into a budget.
I thought it was in the commissioner's budget.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Let me look. Hang on.
Didn't we
Caitlin can
have
tell you.
those
Yeah, Caitlin said.
positions? They weren't in budgets.
But it was an approved position in 2024, not a
Caitlin, do
new
we have,
position in
I believe
2025.
they said we did not have it in the budget.
But maybe
Caitlin,
it
can you
rolled over
confirm?
as
Sorry, I had said that I was not sure if that was included in our budget. And so that's what I was asking the commissioners, was if you guys remembered if it was put into our budget or if it was put into somebody else's. And then Rob had said that he had thought it would be in that new positions account.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it
and
was
it
in
might,
the new
it
positions.
might be in that too.
Yeah,
I know it was
right now.
accounted for somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how it was broken out this time.
I tried calling Mandy and did not get a hold of her, but I did send her an email. So Decorah, I CC'd you on that, but I will let you guys, the commissioners, know as soon as I know.
We'll get it
Well,
sorted
thank
out
you.
before the end of the day.
We'll find it. It's there. I know it's
Is
there
there?
somewhere. Just a
Maybe.
strange transition.
Yes, that's
This
the one.
year,
We're not
so.
always this
Mhm.
unorganized.
Okay.
Here.
Well, I'm sorry I was tardy.
Oh, it's
I didn't
okay.
know it was moved. Otherwise I'd have been here.
Anything else for Blair?
No, just welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm pulling up the budget right now. I'm trying to find that.
We'll give her a second to pull up the budget, just in case, we have the answer now.
Yeah.
Because we go into recess until your meeting right now.
Okay. Added. The only change is curve that was added. Yeah, I don't believe I can't see where, because we have like public records,
Yeah. Okay, I'll take a
I've not
look at
seen
the,
it, But I think it's Kirk's, but not, because there's a large increase and that would probably account. Or it's just the increases.
I will take a look at the new position
And there is a
account
little,
and see
it
if
says
it's
2025
in there.
position management request, and it is underneath there, but it's like I can't highlight it in big blue, but I can't click it. So maybe that added, but I'm looking at the one posted online. I don't even know if Kirk's was added in now that I'm looking at this. I don't think Kirk's was added in. But it had to, because we went from 297, 300,000 to 641 for wages and salaries. From 24 to 25, so we've got to have something in here.
That wouldn't make any sense even for that though. 'Cause we would have been more than that.
Well, but you have public records, they have their own line item.
Oh, yeah.
So,
24 would have had.
Grants administration, they have their own.
Jerry, Brittany, us.
So maybe the Kirk's did get put in ours. Maybe it is already in there, I'm not seeing it. Great question from Andy.
You have a meeting with her today?
No, Mondays.
I don't know if she's here today.
Okay. Well, we'll find it.
Okay.
Okay.
Blair, you're here and hopefully you get paid.
Hopefully.
You'll get paid,
We'll
one way
go
or the
into
other.
Recess until 1 p.m.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, it is 1:02. We are here with HR for our February 18th meeting. Let me see my agenda. We do have public comment in the beginning. They put it in the beginning. not the
That's,
end.
yep, I saw that.
So hopefully our chair will be joining us. I'm not sure, so I'm sorry for not being prepared here. I wasn't anticipating running the meeting. Okay, we have an open forum for public comment, 5-minute time limit for HR, human resources related topics only. So it's 1:03. Do we have anybody in the public who would like to make a public comment? Barb, there's nobody in the room. Do you want to see if somebody online would like to make a public comment?
You have no call-in users.
Okay. So hearing none. Do you know if Rob's joining us this afternoon? Caitlin, Barb?
I don't know that he has any other
Okay,
plans.
I'm assuming he'll be here.
okay. So move right along to Corey. I will give you back your agenda then. So it
Okay.
appears there is no public comment, so we will revert back to HR
Okay.
running the agenda.
Sounds good. First thing I have, item number 1 is out of the sheriff's office, an MOU for third-party services, contracted services. The MOU is with the labor union. Excuse me. Effective January 29th, 2025 through May 24th, 25. So a 6-month period. Grant County Sheriff's Office will outsource RN duties and work with Omni staff services due to staffing shortages. This is not precedent setting. That and ask any questions. They have had an employee.
Okay,
one of
RN,
the-
this is outsourced RN duties. Okay.
The RN is out on an extended leave. And so they backfilled that position with Omni staff.
Yeah, you mentioned that this morning.
Item 2 and 3, I don't have any topics there today for those, unless the board had something in those.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Where it goes. Pretty sure it's not there.
Okay. Unless the board had topics that you wanted to use that time for employee evaluation or personnel disciplinary matters.
No.
I don't know, man.
Okay. Item number 4, I have a PAR from the assessor's office. This PAR is being brought forth based on an employee, it was a administrative oversight by the auditor's or the assessor's office, sorry. The employee should have received a 2.5% raise when he completed his IAAO 101 course and the USPA course and got a promotion to appraiser 2. And in their job descriptions, it is progressive. You do this much time and you get your certifications. You then can promote up. However, there was a step missed in that promotion. So they're asking to do retroactive back to 4/28/24. So he was placed at a 10-1, should have received retro pay back to promotion of 4/28. This also incorporates the COLA that happened at the same time.
Okay, and your recommendation would be?
Yeah.
And is that a pay date, the 4/28? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. A payroll.
Okay, the next one I have, number 5, out of district court, was a reclass we discussed last week. They provided a PAR for that. However, what wasn't discussed last week is moving the reclassification going back to, in the date Desiree has is 12/22 of 24. Given her belief that, and help me out, Gina, since you were talking with them as well. When we talked, it was prospectively, not retrospectively. I didn't ever hear her ask for retrospectively, but because of the law changing, she thinks that she needs to pay that retro back. But according to Tony, we don't, because it didn't change from exempt to non-exempt or vice versa. So we aren't obligated to pay that retro back, that you can do it prospectively. So that is your call. I do have a PAR written retrospectively, but
I think we are trying, we'll speak for the board, have been trying to get away from retro, but I know this came up in the fall, so why it was not brought forward in the fall instead of January. Board, I really keep making goals, we're not gonna do retro, well, we did one, but I think that was, probably, I mean, it was an accident that happened, but.
Yeah.
And this may be viewed as an accident, but I think we caught it earlier enough. Rob, your thoughts on retro?
Yeah, I don't want to do retro unless we legally need to on that request.
yeah, and it doesn't sound like we legally have to pay retro on this because the person is staying exempt. It is just a step increase to meet the state's law.
So Kevin, probably previously, I think it was just a condition that we would just retro everything. And we had some errors, we had a lot of problems doing the retro, it's like, just right. And once you start doing one, then you're kind of compelled to do everybody. So I think we've really, it's taken a while. It's taken several years, but we have been trying not to do retro if we don't have to. And it's not that we're trying to pick on somebody, but if there's an error truly that we did, like a misstep that happened.
I anticipate that if it is prospectively, that the department will be coming back to you asking for the retro again. So if you feel like you may go back to that retro after they come and meet with you again, I would just say do it now and or hold firm, whichever you would like to do. But we can change the date, and I would have have the chair initial the date change if you want to do it prospectively. Or you can sign it as is, which is retrospectively. So Rob, yours was not interested in retro?
No.
Cindy?
I would really like to get away from retro because it opens up a can of worms and creates a lot more issues for us.
Okay.
When did they start trying to get the increase?
Do you recall?
It was after the first
of the year.
Yeah. And Desiree's assertion is that she was waiting for HR to initiate that request. Yeah, we have the legal question out to Tony. He doesn't feel the need to go retro, or his perspective is if it's exempt and remaining exempt, there would be no need for retro. In my research, the FLSA also doesn't require employers to go retrospectively unless it's part of an audit or they're given a clear directive based on the results of an audit. So again, there's no legal requirement to do that. Yes, the salary threshold went up January 1st. If it's a legal question, we've done our research. Our labor attorney doesn't foresee us having to go retro in this specific case.
Yeah, I would support retro if it legally needs to be retro, or if they've been trying to do this for the last month and a half and nothing was, I don't know, they weren't having a meeting. So.
Yeah. And I would concur with you. This wasn't brought, the reclass wasn't brought until after the first of the year. And then we had meetings. They met with you. Have met with you. They came to our meeting. So.
But that all happened this year.
Yeah.
And they were aware of it last fall.
Yes.
But I think they had something else they were gonna do.
Yeah, I thought we had corrected than last year for most people.
And really what I would like to hear from Tony, our labor attorney, is his perspective on the retro. It was less than 30 days. So I guess for me, I want to know, employers can reclassify exempt, non-exempt positions at any time. So what is the legal requirement to go retro? And so that's what I'd like to learn more from Tony. But so far, exempt to stay exempt, we have no legal obligation to go retro.
And when the PA's office weighed in,
She doesn't know anything about the FLSA, so she relied on Tony's opinion, as well as the research that I had done.
okay, so.
So that is a no. The retro. Correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's your no.
That is what I heard.
I just wanted to make sure we were all of them.
So I will hand it to, pass it down to sign. So if you'll, well, I'll have Rob.
You want me
I'll
to just
get the
initial
date.
the corner? What do we?
Sign normal. And then I will have Rob initial the corner for the dates, and I'll get the correct pay date down. Calendars in here.
No, I think Caitlin, did you order a new large calendar for payroll?
Yes, I have them. I will bring them down today.
You have one. It does make it handy when we can look at it. It does, it was like payroll.
Yeah, exactly what happens.
Thank you, Caitlin.
We'll initial that up there, and then I'll write in the date, and I'll let you know. Item number 6. Blair spoke to you this morning. You notified me that his budget will be coming into HR. You mentioned into the HR department. You mentioned other funds beyond payroll funds. Do you
Well,
know?
we'll have to do a budget extension to put that in because currently
He was talking about training.
Okay.
Getting certificates up to date and stuff.
Okay, and I think he's good this year, so it would be 2026 that we would want to budget for.
there still might be some transportation. And like I said, if we get a county administrator, this might come back under the county administrator. So for right now,
okay,
we're just moving things around. But it could be under our budget. Yeah, I mean, ours did make an increase, but it could be the other salary that was added.
Yeah.
Maybe could be in there.
When I looked at
I just don't have names.
the spreadsheet, yeah, when I looked at the spreadsheet that was sent to Mandy, that position isn't titled in your budget anywhere.
Okay.
There wasn't a line item for that position. It was put in a requested position for 2025. So I think it was the money sitting there in that other, in the other fund, but not in your fund yet.
Okay.
So.
Do we know that the other fund exists for new positions?
I know it exists because the board said it will exist.
Well, it has to exist
That's,
because we adopted a budget with it, so it has
Yeah.
to be
Well,
in
yeah,
there.
I'm just wondering if it was in the adopted budget. But I'm just curious because I asked Emily if she knew because she prepared the commissioner's budget. And she said that it looked like it might have been added into capital outlay because they didn't know what 99,000 was in our capital outlay of our budget. But yeah, that's all that our office knew
Maybe
about
it's the mics, the microphone.
I don't know what it was.
And I tried to call Mandy, but I sent her an email. She's in Tyler Tech meetings today, I guess. But I did ask her about the creation of the fund, if that had happened, and if she knew where Blair's pay was budgeted. So hopefully we'll hear back from her soon.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay. I think we're on, number 7, assessor's office is wanting to reclass a couple of positions. However, it wasn't in their budget for 2025. So I wanted to ask the board what your stance is on moving forward. Do you want HR to be running comps still? Or do you want to wait until a third party, the third party comp study? Because we can do the work, but if we don't want to do the work beforehand, bring it to you and have you say.
How close are we, it's out for RFP? The RFP is out.
The RFP is out, closes, I think they have to have it in the end of the month. Their proposals, yeah. But I would anticipate that it's going to be a minimum of 6 months for them to be able to come together with a product.
If you want to do the comparables, maybe in just,
okay,
if you have time to do that and work with them.
Rob, Kevin? Okay.
I'm good with, yeah, if it's gonna be another 6 months, we probably
Okay.
should go ahead and do it.
Okay, we will do it. And number 8, department head job description. Dan sent it to the board for review. I don't know if you had an opportunity to review that. I reviewed it and it has my okay on it, but he wanted you, the 3 of you, to have input as well. Once I have your go ahead, he can get it posted.
Didn't see any problems with it, but let me look at it.
You are posting the development services position?
That was what was decided last week.
So are we gonna post the public works position?
That was not discussed last week.
I mean, that's the lack of consistency.
Yes, I think that if there are 2 department head positions, so if you're going to do one way, you should do both of them that way.
Yeah.
You have an interim in both. If you're ready to move forward with Public Works, we can get that one posted as well. It just hasn't been discussed since Andy was placed in that as that interim. Because you were doing a 6-month approximately.
Yeah,
Okay.
that ends in March.
Yeah.
What was the time frame that we had decided? It was just like a week internal?
We're gonna do 5 days internal. Are you still good with that? The 3 of you?
Yep, I think it looks good.
Do you want me to tell you or respond to Dan?
You can tell me. I told him
Okay.
I'd come forward and ask you guys. Okay. Said it was good. Rob, reviewed.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
I just think if we're doing that for that one, we probably need to do the same with the other one.
Yep. We are trying to build some consistency, so yes, absolutely. Okay, and my final topic is sick leave request. I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. I was still waiting, I informed you that it would be coming down the pike. I was waiting for some medical information. I do feel it meets the policy requirements for this person. Name there is at the top.
Here's these also.
Oh, wonderful. Topic that I didn't have on here, but I know that Blair talked to you about was more administrative, the policy and the possibility of using contracting with Lexipol to do policy. So I have last week, Gina and I both reached out to Lexipol and are asking for a demonstration, and we'll get a quote to see what that might look like. They do offer employee trainings as well, so things that are required, sexual harassment training, that those will be part of a yearly process with them.
You know, it's nice. I think it's funny. I mean, the idea, suggestion of outsourcing policy updates was brought up 4 years ago, and 3 years ago, and 2 years ago,
And
last year.
like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's
and-
always been, oh, no. And then it's like one of his first things is,
You guys need to update your
you
policy.
need to update the policy. It's like, oh.
Yes, and we, as you know, HR has been working diligently to update policy. It is a full-time job.
Yep.
Full-time job to do it. It's always changing.
No, we've got some that have needed updated for quite a while.
Yes. Okay, that is what I have for you today. Do you have anything for me?
I just wanted to, we've touched about the county admin position, so we're moving forward on that. Barbara, the mail room, and I don't, increasing the hours in the mail room, but I don't think we're gonna, that is still like a part-time position, and I did reach out, did I visit with you about it? I thought I did, but maybe I just had great intentions.
You mentioned it last
Okay.
week, yeah.
And I did sit down with Tom, and he was gonna look to see if he has some hours in maintenance or TS, so I don't know how you would handle that,
Yeah.
because the mailroom is not a full-time position, so I hate to make it a full-time position.
Did it used to be a full-time
It
position?
used to be, but they did us some other tasks that were assigned there.
Okay. And the other tasks that were part of the commissioners?
Yeah, they were part of our commissioner's office, and
Are there tasks, similar tasks, that they could do?
in our office, I'm not sure, possibly. But I think with some of the skill set that he has, he would be able to work in TS and possibly maintenance. So
That's what you
Tom
said.
was going to look into
Okay.
that. So I don't know, like maybe part of the day will be, kind of like how we.
Because it's about an hour and a half that you're looking.
Actually,
to
it's more than
fill
that,
for
because he feels that
full-time.
there's about an hour from 1 to 2 that he doesn't have a whole lot going on, and then I think it's 3 o'clock on.
3 to 5.
So however, we work that out.
Can I ask a question? Let's say these duties are added and they're working in TS and they're working in maintenance, and then that person quits. And we have to repost. That position will be expected to do those duties as well? And then,
Because this is where I'm concerned. This is a mailroom. Currently, right now, he's just the mailroom, and I don't think we the mailroom is not a full-time position, so I don't want to add the mailroom as a full-time position. So it would be a part-time position like in TS or maintenance.
Oh, so you're saying to add another position in other departments that he can apply for to do that work?
Well, I guess if you would need to apply for it. But we're gonna lose him. He's gonna,
More of a utility guy where he could go do tasks for other departments.
So, but adding those duties to the mailroom position?
no. But maybe if, I guess if that's what we would have, I don't know, I
I'm
guess.
just
This
trying
is where I
to-
have to work with Tom and HR, so Gina, I don't have an answer. So maybe that's what it would look like, but
Okay.
the mailroom is not a full-time position, period.
Right.
It's a half-time, and we've added another hour or two just to get the afternoon mail out.
Yeah.
But it's like a part-time.
Right.
And I don't see anything changing that it's going to be full-time.
So potentially adding another position, another part-time position, doing utilities and other things. And then
Or adding utility duties to the job description, making it a full-time, but then ensuring that those duties could be done by anybody in that job class, not just somebody who specializes. If he's got great skill with TS, he may be used there. But if he isn't, if the person in the mailroom now, if he isn't he might be very good at it, but the next person in that position might not be. So you would want it to be more general, other duties as assigned. And then it would need to be scheduled for what that position would be doing during those times, those downtimes, as a utility staff. So, I mean, I think it could be done, but we need to be very mindful and very thoughtful about it.
Started the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just trying to figure out a way to get a few hours every day.
And there's a need elsewhere, like scanning or moving boxes, or we've got some file boxes that need to be moved.
Okay. I will.
And then if he were to leave tomorrow, you would hire somebody and the expectation would be that they would do the same work.
Or not.
I don't know, I think this is where we're just in the initial stages where it's the ask, it's what do can this work, does it? We just leave the mailroom alone, and to me, it seems like we leave the mailroom alone, just leave it alone. And then, because the mailroom is under the commissioners, and TS is not under the commissioners, so it's hard when you split.
Right.
And if it works, great, if it doesn't, then we will.
Yeah, because I would think that it would, if the person in the position was doing work for another department, we'll use TS,
Under that department.
then it would be, it would have to be invoiced out, I would think, from the commissioner's office to the department that the person is working in, and they would then pay that difference. Is my thought, but, so they're like contracting through the commissioner's office for that time that they would use the position for, but it would get messy.
It seemed like an easy thing to do. It sounds
Yeah.
complicated.
Well, we do that when
Sorry.
we have tourism, no, but we have tourism, and, where it's divided, their salary is.
Yeah.
Tourism pays for a portion of the salary, Board of Ed pays for a portion, so. But
Right.
again, I don't even know if Tom's interested in doing this, I have not heard back.
Okay.
Yes, I just.
Okay.
Because we've
Yep,
had
it's
this
on my-
discussion, then it was.
It's on my radar, so.
Barb brought it up, so I just, working on that. And then, the salary for because we are working on the salary schedule for the matrix for the health district. I believe that we need to look at the salary, for our director at Renew. And that salary will be, director could possibly be passing up on.
Is his position comparable to what you're comparing?
In my mind, he's got a degree in our salary survey that I was a part of the team. They said that we will be losing our director if we don't look at his salary seriously, because others will be stealing him and recruiting. And for what we're paying him, we're lucky that he had stayed this long. So I think when we did his review, he was gonna go look for some numbers. I don't know if he was looking for numbers, but I just wanna, again, it was brought up that.
in your review for the health district, is there data that they would be willing to share with
I
us?
can send it to you.
Talking about our health board meeting we had the other night.
Yes. A big jump.
Caught me a little off guard.
So it sounds like it's for retention to ensure he doesn't leave.
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna steal them, but I think when multiple people on my committee have said, you're definitely not paying him, if you would go out to market or look at what you're underpaying him. So I'm just trying to do the right thing and say, oh, well, instead of having him leave or try to recruit, or as we're paying our new health district director probably more than what we're paying, probably foreclose.
I'd love to see the data that they've collected.
Did they get a new director, you just said? You said no?
No, they just.
Oh, you just said paying our new health.
Oh, they're
director.
paying the new wage,
The wage scale.
new wage.
But I think
And I have no idea what that is because it doesn't run through us, so.
Teresa's dad passed away too.
What'd the wage go from and to?
Only a $37,000 increase.
Yeah, but what was it?
142.
That's what it is now? Going from like
That's what it went up to,
142.
No, it went up 37,000 to 132.
Oh, from 132?
But it was 137 plus more because of longevity. I'm trying to think who sent me that matrix. Sorry, I just gotta figure out who
That's
sent it
okay.
to me to begin with. Send it to both of you.
Thank you. Anything else?
So make sure I have the right one. Make sure risk manager. Yeah, the risk manager just wants to know about budget for training and travel. Mailroom, more to come, yeah, more discussion on the mailroom. Again, we have not made a decision on any of that, just we're talking about it.
No.
Yes. Okay,
All good?
I'm good.
Good. Nothing more? Okay, we'll go into recess until 2 p.m. We're back for a weekly commission meeting.
Would you grace us with your presence for just a couple of minutes?
Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and we are here for our weekly scheduled commissioners meeting. I will now call the meeting to order and begin with an open forum for public input, 3 minutes per person, 15-minute time limits. I have no attendees online and only Mr. Tom Gaines in the room. So do we want to hold for a second, see if anybody shows up, or just roll right through? Kirsten, do you have any public comment? Okay, thank you. Well then, this one's gonna be real fast. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Yes, I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Agenda is approved. Do we have any correspondence, emails, letters of support that we need to respond to?
Just the one that we did for Chelan County, for the.
That's in the consent agenda.
Consent agenda. I don't know of anything else.
Did Barb have any?
I do not have anything.
Hey, your microphone's working.
Yay.
No. All right. Any roundtable items? There is an amendment to Senate Bill 5154 listed.
So let me Google that one.
Yeah, I don't know who put that on there. Who?
So I think it was me. I thought that we had. I thought that you had emailed me. Somebody told me to add it too,
Hopefully it wasn't.
to the roundtable.
It was from me and I can't remember.
Don't say my name.
That's
Don't
the
say my
duties of
name.
the auditor.
Solid waste management outcomes. Is that for this year?
Senate Bill 5154, is that what you said?
Yes. Clarifying duties of the auditor?
Yeah, it has to be at the auditor.
Let's see. Barb. Let's see. Yes, we got the email from Kevin. You had sent it to Barb. Can we FYI this to the other commissioners and Michelle to get their opinions? Barb had said for discussion on Tuesday during your roundtable. She had asked Michelle to email Kevin to share her thoughts.
Is that the bill where they're trying to make her the fiscal responsibility, basically?
Yeah, it went on to Kevin McCrae.
It was, they were wanting to add a section saying that the auditor shall prepare a preliminary budget pursuant to RCW 36.40.010 through 36.40.050. And then they wanted to add, if directed to do so by the Board of County Commissioners. So that it would be up to you guys if you wanted to have her prepare the preliminary budget.
That's if this bill is passed. Correct?
They are.
Well, don't they,
writing-
they do the preliminary budget anyway, don't they?
Sure, I'm just reading the,
Okay.
it says fellow LSC commissioners, I am
I'm just
writing
trying
as
to,
per
I have all the notes here, so it was gonna take me a bit to read. They hire an internal auditor or assign internal auditor tasks to an employee of the auditor who operates independently. There was the agent in the Department of Licensing. County auditor shall audit all transfers involving restricted funds held by the county. County auditor shall be the clerk of the board. They took that out. So the county board of commission, the board of commissioners shall designate one of its employees to serve as clerk. I'm trying to really read this fast.
So the bit that was added to the roundtable, it was support in seeking an additional amendment to SB 5154. I'm forwarding it again, just so you guys have it right at the top of
So
your.
it's talking about an act relating to the duties of the county auditor. So they're removing the as clerk of the board of county commissioners.
I didn't realize the auditor was the clerk of the board anywhere.
For us, yeah.
Think they're removing that.
Yes, we're removing it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were anywhere though.
Probably back in the day.
There are still a couple of counties that have the auditor as the clerk of the board.
I think they're just doing some housekeeping.
Okay, yes, I'm trying to read through here. For cleanup. But I don't think it would impact our office because we already have it.
So the request is just to support the modification, basically.
The request that was forwarded was about adding an amendment to clarify the role of the auditor when it comes to the preliminary budget, not about the auditor's role as the clerk.
And that was from Kevin McCray.
No, it was from Taylor Rome, who had sent it, they sent it to, I guess, Kevin had sent it, Kevin Burgess sent it to Barb and said, Barb, can we FYI this to the other commissioners and Michelle to get their opinions? Barb forwarded it to you and to Michelle Jaderland and had asked Michelle to email Commissioner Burgess and give him her thoughts.
She didn't do that yet.
Yeah, so originally I dropped this bill off at her office, asked her to respond back to me and let me know how this would affect her office. I never got a response, so I asked Barb to send it to her in an email, asking for her response. And then she sent an email to Kevin McCray, and then now we're back to where we're at now.
Okay, so let's just hold it and bring it up during her time next week on Monday.
Kevin, she sent it also to you and to Kevin McCray again, I believe. Michelle did on Friday.
Correct.
That
Nice.
she's thinking she was responding to what you needed to know.
Right, okay.
So it just says WASAC negotiated a striking amendment with the Auditors Association that keep the auditors as clerk of the board if that is what a board chooses. WASAC also had the additional authority embedded in the bill stripped, and we are very appreciative of that. Our first reading of the change, is that it did no harm, so striking the amendment was presented at the time. But further review, we are concerned that the bill could inadvertently take authority away from the Board of County Commissioners by clarifying and reaffirming what some believe is current law around development of the preliminary budget and could result in issues for many counties. But they do our budget, so. Well, we send it out. They send it out. Everybody kind of does their own little fix on it, the preliminary, and it comes back grossly over budget. I don't think we've ever had a preliminary that's been under budget.
I'll check with WASAC too before next week, before we have Michelle.
Would you like me to add a bullet under the
Yeah, if you
update?
would, that'd be cool. Any other items for Commissioner Roundtable?
I don't have anything right now.
Any consent agenda items that you want to remove to the bottom or discuss before approving?
I believe, yeah, I think we're not going to approve the one in Swan Hill.
Yeah, we took the one at Squaw Hill out.
Where is that one? Was that taken out already?
The one that was brought up during facilities?
Yeah.
That one was not on consent.
Okay,
Because it already went through. So it just is going to
they're
get
gonna resubmit
submitted
that one
new.
with more clarification.
Do you have anything for Roundtable, Cora?
No,
I can tell you that Mandy responded in an email and that it's allocated to come out of Fund 105. but that the position will be charged to the BOCC and will be transferred salary fund to 101. So it's in Fund 105. If that's helpful.
That would be, when looking at 105, if that is the clerk. The 101/105 is the clerk's budget.
Okay.
Is that right?
Is that correct?
I don't know what that fund is.
Oh,
Oh, I'm looking at it, it's
What the fund is.
101-105 is the clerk's office. Unless it's 105 outside of Kearney's.
yeah, that's what I'm wondering what fund that is.
Employee training and growth. Okay, so that's 105 outside of Kearney Spencer B. Employee training and growth recognition,
I think you brought that book down.
275,000. Yeah, because I am.
If there's nothing, do you mind forwarding that email to me? Because I think when she responded, she just responded to you maybe and not to me, because I did not get that email.
Okay. Yeah, I saw her in the hall, so she,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah.
No, Caitlin,
I will forward it to
here,
you.
I'll show you what it is, so you can, if I was struggling. The employee training and growth recognition. I'm not sure what- That's 105, otherwise 105 in current expense is the clerk's office. For my school budget. Sorry, Rob.
Any other items?
Are you looking for a motion for the consent agenda?
Yeah, we don't have any other roundtable items.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda items 1 through 18.
I'll second that, Mr. Jones.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes, approve consent agenda items 1 through 18 as stated by Commissioner Carter. Consent agenda is approved.
Do we have any walk-on?
No. Easy, easy. That's fast. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Deborah? She went upstairs to talk to her. Oh, she did? Oh, all right, and she's been there. for 15, 20 minutes.
Can I ask you a question when you're done there?
Because
This is the credit card balance.
we normally meet with her today, but with the new change, yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay. I'll check in. See how
This
it's
is
going.
the general AP batch.
AP.
And your foot's feeling good?
It's a little like achy, but it's not bad.
SRP hearing.
This is the request from Central Services.
Yeah.
No, I've just been ignoring it and that seems to be fine. This is the commissioner's minutes.
This pen, it's like somebody took the tip and it's like loose.
It's because it's one of those stylus pens. And those stylus pens are never very good. Do you want this one?
How fun.
This is the letter of recommendation for Patrick Foss. This is the consultant agreement between Schley and Douglas Open Revenue Grant. an interlocal agreement. This is the LTAC grant agreement.
Okay, we won't be buying any more pens.
Oh, we had a box of pens up there.
Do we, these?
There's a lot of. Oh, what? My goodness, these are our LTAC pens.
Are they black or blue?
They're black.
Who buys black pens?
It was my fault.
Inner mistake.
They look nice.
I like that they're black.
Yeah, I think that was my problem is I
The ink was blue.
chose the black exterior and did not think to reimbursement request from the housing authority.
Do black, since they have color. The reason they have blue is because the black and white.
So you know which one's the original.
But now you can tell.
This is the Westlaw renewal.
Haven't messed up a date yet.
Yeah, what day do you think it is though?
No, I probably better check my other box.
Fall behind. It's an out-of-state travel request. This is requesting approval to post an RFP. Out-of-state travel request. Oh, sir. Skipping Cindy.
I'm sorry, coming out on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just,
Right, county jail. Request to purchase.
yep, that's all. We just have to do that.
Close.
Now kind of make me nervous.
It's okay.
Rob sign. We just have to initial Rob sign.
Yes.
I can't talk. Concentrate.
It's the letter of support for the air thing. Services agreement with Say Castillo.
I'm gonna blame it on the glasses.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
This will check off. Can't remember. Did you guys sign that? You weren't supposed to sign it.
No, it's fine. I'll just white out your guys' names.
Don't want to get out of order. Sorry, Kevin.
That's it.
Travel.
Be honest here.
Do we have a lot of people that view our YouTube videos?
Yep.
10 people?
Yep.
No,
I think we
probably
have
like 17.
we have like 20 subscribers, I think, or 25, but
How many
Uh,
are county
I was just gonna
employees
say a good chunk of them are county employees and like TS.
and disgruntled employees that have left or been terminated that are looking to stab us?
So what happens when somebody goes to stab you? Are you supposed to go like shooting? You know, you're supposed to zigzag
I
shooter.
just
I'm like,
smile and
oh my
take the
gosh,
stab.
if I were to zigzag, I'd go slow trick and then it would be a
All right,
great giveaway.
signing is complete, so we are going to go into recess at 2:20 p.m. for our weekly commissioner meeting and be back in session at 3 p.m. for an open record public hearing for our SIP.
What's SIP stand for?
Jury is on.
Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025, and we are here for an open record public hearing for consideration of a budget extension. to our SIP projects. To give us a brief overview, we have our grant administrative specialist, Carrie Stockton.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So today's a budget extension request on a strategic infrastructure program for projects 2024-06 for the Port District of 8 of Warden for the truck access phase 1 and 2 in the amount of $100,000, and SIP project 2024-07 McKay Healthcare for the continued phase 1 master planning in the amount of $373,470, for a total of $473,470. And the resolution was signed on December 10th.
Any additional questions for Carrie?
No, thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we will open up the public comment portion, but we have no one online and no one in the room. So I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment portion of this hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public comment portion of this hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Public comment portion of this hearing has been closed.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the budget extension in the amount of $473,470 for the 2 SIP projects listed below. Or listed 2024-06 and 2024-07.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to approve the budget extension for Port District number 8, Port of Warden Truck Access and Bypass Road Project for $100,000, and Grant County Hospital District number 1, McKay Healthcare Phase 1 Master Planning, $373,470. Thank you, and this concludes our public hearing and our session for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where do we find our hearing?